Chapter 2406. There was a small town in front of Shao Chun and the others. There was a team of more than 100 evil warriors guarding it, but there were no experts among them. Hearing Li Ke's words, Shao Chun said calmly, "Kill them. Remember to finish them quickly. Don't leave anyone alive." There was a small town in front of Shao Chun and the others. There was a team of more than 100 evil warriors guarding it, but there were no experts among them. Hearing Li Ke's words, Shao Chun said calmly, "Kill them. Remember to finish them quickly. Don't leave anyone alive." Hearing Shao Chun's words, Li Ke nodded. Then, under the cover of the night, they quickly approached the small town. The battle broke out very suddenly, and, of course, it ended very quickly. After all, the strongest evil warrior in this team of more than 100 people was only at the comprehension realm. Facing Shao Chun and the others, they did not even have the ability to fight back and were directly killed. Shao Chun and the others had completely cleared out the evil warriors in this small town along the way. After all, every time there was a town or village, the evil warriors would generally arrange for people to defend it. Although there were not many people, almost every place like this would have evil warriors. Therefore, in order to successfully reach the evil god palace without alerting the enemy, Shao Chun and the others could only kill their way over. Fortunately, their operation had been relatively smooth so far. After easily annihilating the evil warriors in this small town, Shao Chun asked the others to quickly rest. After all, after a series of battles, everyone had consumed a lot of spiritual energy. It was necessary to take advantage of this time to quickly recover the spiritual energy in their bodies. As they went deeper into the hinterland of the He Tian mansion, everyone had to be in peak condition at all times. After all, no one knew when the battle would break out. If they were not in good condition, they would be putting themselves in danger. Of course, they did not lack various kinds of pills. In addition to their own pills, Jun Wuya and the other sovereigns also gave Shao Chun and the others a variety of pills. With the help of the pills, Shao Chun's group continued on their journey, rushing towards the evil god palace. Time was of the essence, so Shao Chun and the others had to act quickly. They had to reach the evil god palace before the corrupt path could react and complete their surprise attack. Like this, Shao Chun's group traveled day and night, and as they ventured deeper into Heaven's Closed Heaven Mansion and got closer to the evil god palace, the number of evil path cultivators they encountered also increased, causing Shao Chun's group to slow down significantly. However, they couldn't be impatient at this time. They were chasing after speed. If they were discovered by the corrupt path, that wouldn't be worth it. So Shao Chun and the others were even more cautious. After 3 days, Shao Chun's group was not far from the evil god palace. However, at this time, a city called the Stone City appeared in front of Shao Chun's group. The Stone City was not big, but according to Shao Chun's investigation, there were many corrupt path cultivators guarding the city. Among them, there were 5 End Realm cultivators. Apart from them, there were also some great Thousand World cultivators who had joined the corrupt path. With so many experts guarding the Stone City, Shao Chun and the others had to be careful if they wanted to break through. After some discussion, Shao Chun finally decided that it would be very difficult to secretly pass through the Stone City. If they were not careful, they might be discovered by the corrupt path. As such, the best way was naturally to kill all the corrupt path cultivators in the Stone City. However, the corrupt path cultivators in the Stone City were not weak. Although Shao Chun was confident that he could win, the most important problem was how to kill all of them without exposing themselves. They couldn't let the corrupt path cultivators in the Stone City inform the evil venerables in Leaping Tiger City. Otherwise, the whereabouts of Shao Chun's group would be completely exposed. If the evil venerables in Leaping Tiger City knew that Shao Chun's group had appeared in the Stone City, they would be able to quickly guess their purpose. Then, all their efforts would be in vain. Therefore, the best way to kill the evil martialists in the Stone City was still to make a sudden move and kill them in the shortest time possible. Hiding in a dense forest outside the Stone City, Shao Chun planned to take action at night. They waited until late at night before Shao Chun's group secretly approached the Stone City. Obviously, the corrupt path cultivators in the Stone City did not expect to be attacked by the experts of the Great Thousand World. The Stone City was already in the hinterland of the Hetian Prefecture and was not far from the Evil God Palace. Who would have thought that the experts of the Great Thousand World would suddenly appear in the Stone City without anyone noticing? Because they did not think that there would be a battle here. The defense of the Stone City was very lax. This also created an opportunity for Shao Chun. The more lax the defense of the Stone City was, the easier it would be for Shao Chun to succeed. Under the cover of the night, Shao Chun's group quickly entered the city. The city was filled with a strong smell of blood. There were many rotting corpses everywhere, constantly emitting a foul stench. Shao Chun's group was already used to such a scene. The corrupt path cultivators killed people, so it was not surprising. Be quick. Don't give them a chance. Let's move separately. In the city, Shao Chun said softly to everyone. Everyone nodded and then scattered. They moved separately and quickly killed the corrupt path cultivators in the Stone City. Shao Chun, Gu Lingyao, and the other two girls went straight to the City Lord's Manor. Those few end-realm corrupt path cultivators should be in the City Lord's Manor, and Shao Chun's target should be them. Although there were 5 end-realm experts in the Stone City, in Shao Chun's eyes, 5 end-realm experts were not enough. Now that he had the cultivation of a half-step emperor, normal end-realm experts could not even take one move from Shao Chun. Therefore, even if there were 5 end-realm experts, Shao Chun was not afraid at all. Along the way, Shao Chun secretly killed many corrupt path cultivators and quickly arrived at the City Lord's Manor. Using his spiritual sense, Shao Chun quickly found the location of the 5 end-realm corrupt path cultivators. After sneaking into the City Lord's Manor, he was not in a hurry to attack. Instead, he killed the other corrupt path cultivators one by one. With Shao Chun's strength and the fact that he was assassinating, these corrupt path cultivators did not even have time to react. They were directly killed by Shao Chun. Very quickly, he arrived at the backyard of the City Lord's Manor. The 5 end-realm corrupt path cultivators were there, hiding in the dark. Shao Chun said softly to Gu Lingyao and the other two, "Stay here. If someone comes and his cultivation is not higher than yours, and you have the confidence to kill him instantly, just attack." Hearing Shao Chun's words, Gu Lingyao and the other two nodded. Then, with a flash, Shao Chun entered the room of the 5 corrupt path cultivators. Not long later, the aftermath of the battle spread out from the room. However, in just a few breaths, one of the corrupt path cultivators' corpse flew out of the room. It was obvious that Shao Chun had killed one of them. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 2407. Fighting 1 against 5 was nothing to Shao Chun now. Even if he faced 5 end-realm evil warriors at the same time, Shao Chun could still easily kill them. Shao Chun killed one of them within a few breaths of time. Then, the second evil warrior was beheaded by Shao Chun's sword and died on the spot. On Shao Chun's side, he had killed 2 end-realm evil warriors. On the other side, Long Qing, Xin Yuan Ling, and the others were also killing evil warriors all over the Stone City. There were many evil warriors in the Stone City, but there weren't too many of them. There were only a few thousand of them. With the strength of Shao Chun and the others, this number of evil warriors was obviously not enough. Although there were only 18 of them in Shao Chun's group, every one of them had end-realm cultivation. Besides Long Qing, Xin Yuan Ling, and Gu Lingyao, the others had all reached end-realm great fulfillment. It wasn't difficult for such a force to kill all the evil warriors in the Stone City. The only thing they had to pay attention to was not to let these evil warriors spread the news. The battle broke out suddenly and ended quickly. In less than 10 minutes, Shao Chun had already killed all 5 end-realm evil warriors. Outside the house, the evil warriors who rushed over after hearing the commotion were also killed by Gu Lingyao and the other two. Over the years, Gu Lingyao and the other two naturally didn't slack off on their cultivation. Although their talents weren't as good as Shao Chun's, they weren't low. They were at least geniuses. In addition, over the years, Shao Chun had coveted the best cultivation resources of the 3 girls. As such, the 3 girls had already reached end-realm great fulfillment, and were only a step away from breaking through to End Realm. The battle at the Castellan's mansion was quickly settled by Shao Chun, Gu Lingyao, and the other two ladies. All the evil warriors in the Castellan's mansion were also killed. However, in addition to the evil path cultivators, there were also more than 10 cultivators from the Great Thousand Realms who had sided with the evil path. These people had originally belonged to the various large powers of the Hetian Prefecture. But once the corrupt path had taken control of the Hetian Prefecture, they were afraid of death. So they had joined the corrupt path, and the corrupt path had spared their lives. At this time, in the backyard, more than 10 martialists from the Great Thousand World were kneeling in front of Shao Chun, crying and begging for mercy. Sect leader Shao Chun, we were forced to do this. As the sect master of the sword sect, these people naturally recognized Shao Chun's identity at first glance. They never imagined that Shao Chun would actually appear in the Stone City like a divine soldier descending from the heavens. One had to know that this place was already very close to the evil god palace. Each and every one of them was crying and begging. They said that they had been forced by the corrupt path. They hadn't joined the corrupt path willingly. In the face of these people's crying and begging, Shao Chun's face didn't change much. Although these people might have their own difficulties, they really did choose to surrender because they were powerless to resist the corrupt path. In essence, these people weren't corrupt path cultivators. They had only surrendered because they were forced by the situation. If it were any other time, perhaps Shao Chun would have spared their lives. But now, Shao Chun had no other choice. With a thought, Sword Chi swept out and killed more than 10 people on the spot. These people used to be martialists from the Great Thousand World, but now they had sided with the corrupt path. Shao Chun didn't care if they were forced to do so, or if they didn't have enough resources. No matter what, these people couldn't be spared. Who could be sure that these people wouldn't betray him? Who could be sure that they still had the Great Thousand World in their hearts? If he offended them, and someone among them passed the news to Huyu City, it would ruin his plan. Therefore, Shao Chun killed these people without hesitation. Although they were martialists from the Great Thousand World, since they had chosen to side with the corrupt path, they had to pay the price. Especially at such a critical time, Shao Chun couldn't be soft-hearted. Seeing that Shao Chun had killed more than 10 people without hesitation, Gu Lingyao and the other two ladies didn't say anything. Although they were women, they knew that they couldn't be merciful and they couldn't lose the big picture for small gains. Gu Lingyao and the other two ladies were very clear about this. Not only Shao Chun, but Long Qing, Xin Yuanling, and the others also didn't let these martialists from the Great Thousand World go. Shao Chun's order was to kill them all. This included not only the corrupt path martialists, but also the martialists from the Great Thousand World who had sided with the corrupt path. Perhaps these martialists from the Great Thousand World had chosen to side with the corrupt path because they were afraid of death. However, they probably never dreamed that one day they would die because they had sided with the corrupt path. Moreover, the people who killed them were also martialists from the Great Thousand World. In less than 2 hours, the corrupt path martialists in the Stone City had been completely killed. After confirming that there were no survivors, Long Qing, Xin Yuanling, and the others came to the governor's mansion to meet up with Shao Chun. In the front hall, everyone gathered together. Shao Chun looked at Xin Yuanling and said, "Big brother, how far are we from the evil god palace? If there are no accidents, we will arrive in one day." Hearing this, Xin Yuanling replied, they would arrive at the evil god palace in one day. Now, Shao Chun and the others were very close to the evil god palace. Moreover, the most important thing was that after leaving the Stone City, there were no big cities along the way. At most, there were some villages. Therefore, Shao Chun and the others would be much more relaxed. At least, they wouldn't be blocked by a large number of corrupt path martialists. They were only one step away from the evil god palace. Hearing this, Shao Chun nodded. Then, he looked at the exhausted crowd and said slowly, "Rest for 2 hours, then we will set off." He knew that everyone was tired. After all, they had never really relaxed along the way. Along the way, everyone's nerves were tense. Under the double pressure of physical exhaustion and mental tension, everyone was indeed very tired. However, now was not the time to relax. They had to race against time. Therefore, Xiao Chen only gave everyone 2 hours to rest. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, everyone didn't say much. They immediately swallowed the spiritual energy recovery elixir and closed their eyes to adjust their breathing. There was very little time to rest. Therefore, in these 2 hours, everyone really had a race against time because they were about to reach the evil god palace. That was the most crucial moment, and if they wanted to survive, they had to be extremely cautious, not letting their guard down in the slightest. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 24:08. 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye. Once the time was up, Xiao Chun stood up. At the same time, Long Qing, Xin Yuanling, and the others also opened their eyes. Without saying anything, everyone tacitly left the stone city and went straight to the evil god palace. Just as Xiao Chun and the others left the stone city and went straight to the evil god palace on the other side, Yang Chun actually returned to the evil god palace from Leaping Tiger City. The reason Yang Chun returned was naturally because he had received orders from the evil spirits to come to the evil god palace to collect blood qi for the evil spirits. All the blood qi gathered by the evil path was stored in the evil god palace. This was also an important manifestation of the evil god palace. After all, with so much blood qi, the evil path would definitely not give up on it. Yang Chun returned to the evil god palace, but at this time, he obviously did not know that Xiao Chun was also heading to the evil god palace. Moreover, it could be said that they were almost under the evil god palace's nose. Just as Xin Yuanling had said before, after leaving the stone city, Xiao Chun and the others did not encounter a large number of evil path cultivators along the way. At most, when they passed by some villages and towns, there would be a small number of evil path cultivators in charge of guarding them. However, these were nothing to Xiao Chun and the others. It was obviously impossible to stop Xiao Chun and the others with just a small number of people. Moreover, unless it was really unavoidable, Xiao Chun chose to go around these villages and towns directly to reduce the risk of exposing their whereabouts as much as possible. Today was already the 5th day since they set off from Tomb City. After 5 days of rushing, Xiao Chun and the others were finally about to reach the evil god palace. As long as they reached the evil god palace, then to a certain extent, Xiao Chun and the others' mission would be completed. Even if they all died in the evil god palace, the mission would still be considered completed. Of course, Xiao Chun did not have the intention to give up so easily. In Xiao Chen's view, this time they had to complete the mission and return alive. After breaking through several villages and towns, Xiao Chun and the others finally arrived at the evil god palace at night. Looking from afar, they could already see the entire outline of the evil god palace. Here, Xiao Chun and the others no longer needed to hide their whereabouts. Xiao. 2. Xiao. Of. So for Xiao Chun, the real test had just begun. He turned his head to look at the 3 girls. They were about to attack the evil god palace. Facing Xiao Chen's gaze, the 3 girls gave Xiao Chun a reassuring smile. In the hearts of the 3 girls, as long as they could stay by Xiao Chen's side, they were not afraid of any danger. After looking at each other, Xiao Chun said to the 2 vice sect masters of the Talisman sect, "Act according to the plan. The 2 of you don't need to show up or participate in the battle. You just need to set up the 1,000 calamity killing array." There was no need for the 2 vice sect masters of the Talisman sect to participate in the battle. Xiao Chen even asked Li Ku and Wang Songxue to follow and protect them. After all, as divine symbol masters, it was better for the 2 vice sect masters of the Talisman sect to fully display their advantage rather than let them fight. That was the Talisman Array. The purpose of setting up the Talisman Array was not to destroy the evil god palace, but to deal with the evil path's reinforcements. At that time, when the evil path's reinforcements came, with the help of the Talisman Array, their chances of escaping would be higher. This was also part of Xiao Chen's plan. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, the 2 vice sect masters of the Talisman sect nodded in agreement. Then, everyone split up. Li Ku, Wang Songxue and the two vice sect masters of the Talisman sect left. On the other side, Xiao Chun and the others directly rushed towards the Evil God Palace. Now that they had successfully arrived at the Evil God Palace, Xiao Chun and the others did not need to hide anymore. They directly chose to show themselves. There were still evil paths cultivators guarding the Evil God Palace. However, many of these evil paths cultivators had retreated to the Evil God Palace to recuperate after being seriously injured in Leaping Tiger City. Therefore, many of them had brought along the evil paths cultivators. Although there were many of them, tens of thousands of them, their combat strength could be said to be very weak. Furthermore, they were all seriously injured. How strong could they be? Moreover, there was not a single evil sovereign guarding the Evil God Palace at this time. This allowed Xiao Chun and the others to act without any scruples. As usual, the Evil God Palace at night was shrouded in silence and darkness. However, this silence was suddenly broken. Xiao Chun and the others directly appeared in the sky above the Evil God Palace. Then, without hesitation, they began to attack the Evil God Palace. They had no intention of moving at all. As such, they were naturally discovered by the evil paths cultivators in the Evil God Palace at the first moment. Seeing the evil paths cultivators rushing towards the sky from all over the Evil God Palace, Xiao Chun sneered. "All right, let's make a scene." The purpose of coming to the Evil God Palace was to make a scene. Now, naturally, he did not have any scruples. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Long Qing, Xin Yuan Ling, and the others also attacked the evil path cultivators. These evil path cultivators were originally injured and could not fully display their combat strength. Therefore, Xiao Chun and the others naturally did not feel any pressure. Xiao Chen's target was the evil path cultivators who had reached the End Realm. For Xiao Chun, only the End Realm's evil path cultivators were a little bit of a threat to them. Therefore, Xiao Chen's target was very clear. That was to kill these End Realm's evil paths cultivators first. With Xiao Chen's current strength, these End Realm's evil path cultivators were no match for Xiao Chun at all. To kill an End Realm expert was not a difficult matter for the current Xiao Chun. Moreover, these End Realm experts of the Evil God Palace were all injured and could not pose any threat to Xiao Chun. In the blink of an eye, two End Realm's evil paths cultivators died in the hands of Xiao Chun. As for Long Qing, Xin Yuan Ling, and the others, they all started a massacre. In an instant, the entire Evil God Palace was in chaos. They were not prepared, and it was a sudden attack. Battles broke out all over the Evil God Palace. However, rather than calling it a battle, it could be said that it was a one-sided massacre by Xiao Chun and the others. One after another, evil path cultivators fell in the hands of Xiao Chun and the others. They were unable to organize any effective counterattacks. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 2409. Facing the sudden attack of Xiao Chun and the others, although the evil path cultivators in the Evil God Palace were not afraid of death, they quickly fell into a disadvantageous position. Xiao Chun and the others were all extraordinarily strong. The weakest among them were Gu Ling Yao and the other two girls. Even so, the three girls were also at the great perfection of the Tao realm. As long as they did not meet any End Realm evil path cultivators, the three girls would not be in any danger. In addition, Xiao Chun had been looking for End Realm evil path cultivators to kill. As a result, no one could threaten the safety of Gu Ling Yao and the other two girls. The sudden appearance of Xiao Chun and the others had obviously caught the evil path by surprise. They did not have any time to prepare at all. On the other side, before the attack, Xiao Chun had already sent a message to Jun Wuya, informing him that he had arrived at the Evil God Palace. He wanted Jun Wuya and the others to know the movements of the evil sovereigns and Xietian in Leaping Tiger City. Xiao Chun led people to attack the Evil God Palace. The evil sovereigns and Xietian would definitely react. Now, Jun Wuya and the others were waiting for Xietian's reaction. Once the evil path chose to return to help, the Great Thousand World would directly attack and take down Leaping Tiger City in one fell swoop. At the battlefield of Leaping Tiger City, the Great Thousand World Encampment. After receiving Xiao Chen's message, Junhuia, Tinzu, and the other sovereigns gathered together. It was already late at night, but no one had the intention to rest. Dao Xiong said anxiously, "How is it? Have you sent people out? Are there any movements in Leaping Tiger City?" Naturally, they had already sent out spies to watch every movement in Leaping Tiger City. As long as the evil sovereigns in Leaping Tiger City made any movements, Jun Wuya and the others would receive the news immediately. Hearing Dao Xiong's words, Luo Xing said angrily, "We have already sent people out. Why are you so anxious?" Dao Xiong was indeed a little anxious. However, there was nothing he could do about it. Such an opportunity was fleeting. This time, he had to either take down Leaping Tiger City in one fell swoop or destroy the evil god palace. All the sovereigns gathered together, waiting for the movement in Leaping Tiger City. At the same time, the people below were also ready to fight at any time. As long as the sovereigns gave the order, everyone would be ready to fight at any time. The Great Thousand World side had finished their preparations. On the other side, in the main hall of the Leaping Tiger City's City Lord's mansion, Xie Tian, Yin Tong, Zi Shi, evil spirits, and the other high-ranking members of the evil path were gathered together. Just a moment ago, Xie Tian and the others had received news that the evil god palace had been attacked by the Great Thousand World. Moreover, the evil god palace's situation was very bad. If this dragged on, the evil god palace would not be able to hold on. The situation on the evil god palace's side was urgent, but if they went to reinforce the evil god palace, what about the main battlefield? Xie Tian and the other evil venerables were not fools. Naturally, they could see that this was the scheme of the large world. Damn, the people of the Great Thousand World are so despicable. What should we do now? Feeling unhappy, an evil venerable cursed with a dark expression. In the current situation, the evil path had indeed fallen into a dilemma. To put it bluntly, they had to choose between the evil god palace and Leaping Tiger City. They could only protect one of the two. If they chose Leaping Tiger City, they would not be able to return to the evil god palace and watch it be destroyed. If they chose to save the evil god palace, there was no need to say that they would not be able to defend Leaping Tiger City. Now it all depended on whether the evil god palace or Leaping Tiger City was more important in the hearts of the evil venerables. No one would have thought that the Great Thousand World would send people to attack the evil god palace without anyone noticing. The evil path was not prepared at all, and they were caught off guard. Everyone's expression was very ugly, and they could not help looking at Xie Tian. After all, in this situation, the person who made the final decision was still Xie Tian. Facing the gazes of the evil venerables, Xie Tian said with an ice-cold expression, "The evil god palace still has endless blood qi, right?" Hearing this, Yin Tong, Zi Shi, and the other evil venerables quickly understood Xie Tian's meaning. Xie Tian wanted to protect the evil god palace. The evil god palace did indeed have endless blood qi that the evil path had gathered with great difficulty. This blood qi was very important to the evil path. It was even more important than Leaping Tiger City. This was because the blood qi represented the evil path's cultivation. Without the blood qi, the evil path's cultivators would not be able to cultivate. To gather this much blood qi, the evil path side had naturally spent a lot of effort. The evil god palace's blood qi was indeed very important, so they could not make any mistakes. As for Leaping Tiger City, it seemed like they would not be able to defend it, because sending out just one evil venerable was clearly not enough to stop Xiao Chun. Once they sent out 2 or more evil venerables, they would be at a complete disadvantage on the battlefield. It had to be known, the difference between 2 evil venerables was something that could not be made up for. The boundless world was clearly prepared this time and would not give the evil path any chances. It was impossible to protect both sides, so Xie Tian could only choose to protect the evil god palace first. This was because the evil god palace could be considered the foundation of the evil path. If it was uprooted by the boundless world, the loss was not something a single Leaping Tiger City could make up for. Hearing Xie Tian's words, the evil spirits took the initiative to speak up. I'll go. It's not enough for you to go alone. Hearing this, Xietian softly said, it was not enough for the evil spirits to go alone. The person leading them this time was Shao Chun, and Shao Chun's strength was on par with the evil spirits. If only the evil spirits came back, they would indeed be able to hold back Shao Chun. But what about the others? Who would stop Long Qing, Xinyuan Ling, and the others? So, there was no meaning for the evil spirits to go alone. After being silent for a bit, Xietian coldly said, we were too careless this time, but it's fine. A single leaping tiger city. It's fine if we lose it. It's just letting the boundless world take advantage of it. It's not enough to determine the result of the battle between good and evil. After saying this, Xietian's eyes swept over everyone present before continuing. Evil spirits, Purple Snake, Chi Mei, the three of you will immediately head to the Evil God Palace. No matter what, you can't let anything happen to the Evil God Palace, especially the Blood Chi. Other than that, this one does not want to see Shao Chun and the others alive. Directly sending out the evil spirits to help the Evil God Palace, Xietian's meaning was very clear. He wanted to give up on Leaping Tiger City. However, although he was forced to give up on Leaping Tiger City, Xietian did not plan on letting Shao Chun and the others off. Not knowing life and death, they actually dared to enter the Evil God Palace. Whether this was the Boundless World's plan or not, Xietian would not allow Shao Chun and the others to leave like this. Since they came, there was no need to leave, and they could just stay. Xietian wanted to use the lives of Shao Chun and the others to make up for the loss of Leaping Tiger City. At the same time, he wanted to vent the anger in his heart. Please add, please vote, please recommend. Chapter 24:10. While speaking, Xietian's eyes were filled with killing intent, and the temperature in the hall instantly dropped to the freezing point. Shao Chun and the others had suddenly appeared in the Evil God Palace and caught the evil path off guard, forcing Xietian to give up on Leaping Tiger City. It could be imagined how furious Xietian was. That night, the evil spirits, Purple Snake, Chi Mei, and more than 10 End Realm Evil Path cultivators rushed to the Evil God Palace. At the same time, in Leaping Tiger City, Yin Tong asked Xietian, then what should we do now? Should we retreat? Since they had already decided to give up on Leaping Tiger City, should they retreat? However, Xietian gave a cold laugh when he heard Yin Tong's words. No, I want Shao Chun to stay in the Evil God Palace forever. So, we need to stall for some time. After the evil spirits and the other two left, the remaining people were not enough to defend Leaping Tiger City. However, Xietian did not plan to retreat because he wanted to stall for time for the evil spirits and the others. He also wanted to cut off the possibility of the Great Thousand World receiving Shao Chun and the others. Thinking about it, if Xietian gave up on Leaping Tiger City now, after attacking Leaping Tiger City, the first reaction of Jun Wuya and the others would be to receive Shao Chun. In this way, there was a possibility that Shao Chun could escape. Xietian wanted to cut off this possibility. No matter what, he had to kill Shao Chun and the others in the Evil God Palace to vent the hatred in his heart. Hearing Xietian's words, Yin Tong respectfully replied, if it was just a stall for time, there was no problem. Moreover, this could create a chance for the evil spirits and the others to kill Shao Chun. Xietian vented all his anger on Shao Chun. On the other side, in the Great Thousand World encampment, Jun Wuya and the others also received the news that Xietian, Purple Snake, and Chi Mei had left. Immediately, Tenzu said in a deep voice, all right, pass down the order to attack Leaping Tiger City with all our strength. This time, we must settle everything in one fell swoop. Following Tenzu's order, the powerhouses of the various forces in the great wide world quickly gathered and launched a fierce attack on Leaping Tiger City. They did not give the evil path any chance to catch their breath. The war in Leaping Tiger City started again. The great wide world's intention was also very clear. They wanted to settle the situation in one fell swoop and take down Leaping Tiger City, which was a difficult bone to chew. Such an opportunity was hard to come by. So how could he miss it? While the battle had broken out in Leaping Tiger City, inside the Evil God Palace, Xiao Qian's group was still wreaking havoc, killing the cultivators guarding the evil god palace. End realm evil path cultivators were basically all killed by Xiao Qian. End realm cultivators were like vegetables in front of Xiao Qian. Killing them wasn't difficult at all. It was like he had entered a place where no one could stop him. After Xiao Qian killed all the End Realm Evil Path experts, the pressure on Long Qing, Xin Yuanling, and the others was greatly reduced. Without the obstruction of the End Realm experts, Long Qing, Xin Yuanling, and the others were no longer a threat to the Evil Path cultivators below. Just as the battle was one-sided, inside the Evil God Palace, Yang Chun was looking at the battle in the sky with an ugly expression. Speaking of which, Yang Chun was also very surprised. He didn't expect Xiao Chun to suddenly appear in the Evil God Palace. Moreover, he also came to the Evil God Palace at this time and bumped into Xiao Chun. If he had met Xiao Chun in the past, Yang Chun would definitely have attacked without saying anything. However, Yang Chun chose not to attack now. On the contrary, Yang Chun had been looking for a chance to escape. He already knew that Xiao Chun now had the cultivation of a half-step Emperor Realm expert, and his combat strength was comparable to the evil spirits. No matter how stupid Yang Chun was, he knew that he was no longer Xiao Chun's opponent. Fighting against Xiao Chun was like courting death. He had been completely left behind by Xiao Chun. At this time, Yang Chun didn't care about the hatred of the past. He just wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. He knew that no one could protect him now. If he was discovered by Xiao Chun, he probably wouldn't be able to escape. Therefore, Yang Chun cleverly chose not to show himself. Instead, he hid in the dark. He looked coldly at Xiao Chun in the sky. However, his feet didn't stay idle. Using his understanding of the Evil God Palace, Yang Chun quickly ran out of the Evil God Palace. He didn't choose to fly directly in the sky. Instead, he passed through the various buildings of the Evil God Palace. This way, he could hide his tracks better. They were getting closer and closer to the Evil God Palace. Yang Chun couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. As long as he could escape from the Evil God Palace, he would be safe. Moreover, Xiao Chun dared to enter the Hetian province with just a few people and even attack the Evil God Palace. He didn't even have an End Realm expert by his side. In Yang Chen's opinion, Xiao Chun was doomed. As long as the evil sovereign of Leaping Tiger City returned to help, Xiao Chun would definitely die. A smile gradually appeared on Yang Chen's face. He sneered coldly in his heart. Xiao Chun, oh Xiao Chun, so what if you are strong? You will still die. Stupid. You actually dared to enter the Evil God Palace alone. You are simply courting death. Yang Chun flew out of the Evil God Palace as he ran. However, before Yang Chun and Xiao Chen's smiles completely bloomed, and they were just a step away from leaving the Evil God Palace, they heard an indifferent voice in front of Yang Chun. Yang Chun, we are meeting old friends. Where are you going in such a hurry? You don't even want to say hello? He was about to succeed, but in the end, he was blocked by Xiao Chun. Yang Chun had no idea how Xiao Chun discovered him. When he heard Xiao Chun's voice, Yang Chun jerked his head up. His expression was solemn as he looked at Xiao Chun, who was standing in the air with a mocking smile on his face. Yang Chun was stunned on the spot. Xiao Chun had inadvertently captured Yang Chun's aura and chased him all the way here. He didn't expect it to really be Yang Chun. Xiao Chun didn't expect Yang Chun to be in the Evil God Palace. It was indeed a pleasant surprise. He slowly landed in front of Yang Chun, and the smile on his face grew brighter. It felt like he was meeting an old friend. Looking at Xiao Chun in front of him, Yang Chun subconsciously retreated. In truth, Yang Chun didn't have the courage to fight with Xiao Chun. When he was in Leaping Tiger City, Yang Chun had personally witnessed the battle between Xiao Chun and the evil spirits. That kind of godlike strength made Yang Chun unable to summon the slightest thought of resisting. Xiao Chun walked forward step by step, and Yang Chun retreated step by step. Seeing this, Xiao Chun chuckled. What's wrong? Are you afraid of me now? Xiao Chun, sensing the mocking glint in Xiao Chun's eyes, Yang Chun was infuriated. However, he couldn't refute it. He was indeed afraid of Xiao Chun because Xiao Chun could be said to be on a completely different level from before. begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. End of chapter. Chapter 2411. Being blocked by Xiao Chun. One could imagine how Yang Chun felt. If it was in the past, Yang Chun would probably fight to the death with Xiao Chun. But now, Yang Chun didn't have such thoughts at all because there was no hope of him winning. Being blocked by Xiao Chun. One could imagine how Yang Chun felt. If it was in the past, Yang Chun would probably fight to the death with Xiao Chun. But now, Yang Chun didn't have such thoughts at all because there was no hope of him winning. Yang Chun was only at the end realm. Just in terms of cultivation realm, Xiao Chun could completely crush Yang Chun. As for defeating Xiao Chun, Yang Chun wasn't naive enough to think that he could do it. Xiao Chun himself was said to be invincible under the same level of combat prowess, so it was impossible for anyone to defeat Xiao Chun. Looking at Xiao Chun with a complicated expression, Yang Chun asked in a low voice, "You want to kill me? What do you think?" Xiao Chun replied with a cold smile. Ever since Yang Chun followed his master Tao Ming and betrayed the Great Thousand World, Yang Chun and his disciple were the enemies of the entire Great Thousand World. Naturally, they had to be killed. If Yang Chun didn't betray the Great Thousand World, Xiao Chun definitely wouldn't kill him now because of the enmity between the two of them and the Sword Sect and Hitian Sect. However, since Yang Chun and his disciple had betrayed the Great Thousand World, there was nothing more to say. Killing intent gathered in his eyes. Feeling Xiao Chun's killing intent towards him, Yang Chun's heart sank. However, facing the threat of death, Yang Chun didn't plan on giving up. Even if there was only a 1 in a million chance, Yang Chun had to think of a way to escape. After all, as long as he didn't die, there was still hope. Staring at Xiao Chun, Yang Chun suddenly took out dozens of talismans from his storage ring. These talismans were given to him by his master Tao Ming for registration. Several dozen talismans shot towards Xiao Chun at the same time. At the same time, Yang Chun didn't hesitate to run to the left. He wanted to use the talismans to delay Xiao Chun to escape from the evil god palace. Yang Chun's speed was very fast, and the talismans had successfully hit Xiao Chun. All of this happened in an instant. However, before Yang Chun could rejoice for long, Xiao Chun, who was supposed to be held back by the talisman, appeared in front of Yang Chun again. The dozens of talismans from before could not stop Xiao Chun at all. Yang Chun's face darkened when he saw Xiao Chun appear in front of him again. However, he did not stop what he was doing. He used all the protective items he had in order to exchange for a chance to escape. However, in the face of Yang Chun's protective items, Xiao Chun did not care at all. He even sneered, "Yang Chun, do you really think that you can stop me with these items?" Yang Chun did have a lot of protective items, but for Xiao Chun, they were not enough. With Xiao Chun's current cultivation, Yang Chun's protective items were not much of a threat. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Chun pointed his finger. A green sword sect flashed and directly shattered Yang Chun's protective items. In front of Xiao Chun, Yang Chun's protective items were indeed not enough. They could even be said to be vulnerable. Seeing his protective items were as fragile as paper in front of Xiao Chun. They were all shattered at the slightest touch. Yang Chun's heart was filled with mixed feelings. Perhaps it was hard for him to accept that the gap between him and Xiao Chun was so huge that he did not have the power to fight back at all. At this time, Xiao Chun walked towards Yang Chun step by step and said calmly, "All along, the Sword Sect and the Heavenly Sect have been enemies. However, I can ignore this. However, the Heavenly Sect used a scheme to kill Senior Long Yuan and went to the Dragon Palace. This is something that I cannot forgive. Yang Chun, you should know that my second sister, Long Qing, was the Dragon Lady of the Dragon Palace. Since you destroyed the Dragon Palace, I naturally have to avenge my second sister. Secondly, you and your master betrayed the Great Thousand World and joined the evil path. This is something that cannot be tolerated by heaven and earth. Therefore, how can I let you go?" It was impossible for him to let Yang Chun go. All the previous grudges, coupled with the betrayal of the Great Thousand World by Yang Chun and his master, were enough to kill Yang Chun 100 times. Feeling the killing intent that was constantly emitted from Shao Chun, Yang Chen's face became more and more solemn. However, he still did not give up. Shao Chun, it was my master who betrayed the great Thousand World. I'm also despicable. My master wanted to join the evil path. As his disciple, how can I refuse? Oh, you still know that Tao Ming is your master? Since that is the case, how can you betray your master at such a critical moment and blame him? Shao Chen smirked when he heard what Yi Futian said. Shao Chun did not know whether Yang Chen had relied on the evil path for resources, nor did he want to guess. However, Shao Chun looked down on Yang Chen's current state. At such a critical moment, he betrayed Tao Ming so blatantly. Shao Chen looked down on such a person. In the face of the threat of death, Yang Chen no longer cared about the relationship between master and disciple. He pushed all the blame to Tao Ming. Upon hearing Shao Chen's words, Yang Chen's face became more and more unsightly. Now, Yang Chen really did not care about the relationship between master and disciple. Yang Chen only wanted to live and asked Shao Chun to let him go. However, now it seemed that Shao Chun was determined to kill him. Thinking of this, Yang Chen also gritted his teeth and suddenly attacked Shao Chun. It was already impossible for Shao Chun to let him go. Therefore, he could only give it his all. Perhaps he could still fight for a chance of survival. In any case, Yang Chen's goal was not to defeat Shao Chun. He just wanted to escape. However, in the face of Yang Chen's attack, Shao Chun smiled disdainfully. Your life-saving treasure is useless. Now you want to fight on your own? Yang Chen did not reply to Shao Chen's words. He continued to attack Shao Chun with a palm strike. However, Shao Chun only gently waved his sleeves and directly shattered Yang Chen's palm. In front of him, Yang Chen actually thought that he could fight for a chance of survival. It had to be said that he was really too naive. The two of them fought fiercely. Yang Chen was not Shao Chen's opponent at all. In just one exchange, Yang Chen was heavily injured by Shao Chen's finger. The cyan sword light directly pierced through Yang Chen's shoulder. In just one move, the huge gap between the two of them was unreservedly exposed. Under such a huge gap, Yang Chen had no chance of escaping. Shao Chun severely injured Yang Chen with just one finger. Immediately after, Shao Chen's mind moved and the sword realm shrouded Yang Chen. Then, countless sharp sword aura tore Yang Chen into pieces. Yang Chen roared before he died. Shao Chun, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. You're not even my opponent when you're alive. What can you do when you're dead? Shao Chen sneered. Please add this to your collection. Please recommend me. Chapter 24:12. Killing Yang Chen wasn't difficult for Shao Chun. Yang Chen was only at the great completion end realm and posed no threat to Shao Chun. Killing Yang Chen wasn't difficult for Shao Chun. Yang Chen was only at the great completion end realm and posed no threat to Shao Chun. Moreover, Yang Chen could only blame his bad luck for appearing in the evil god palace at this time and being discovered by Shao Chun. Shao Chun just killed him along the way. After dealing with Yang Chen, Shao Chun didn't stay idle and continued to join the battle. There were many evil path cultivators in the evil god palace. Although there weren't many experts, they still fought with Shao Chun and the others without fear of death. The battle continued, and most of the evil god palace was destroyed. After an entire night of intense battle, the sky gradually brightened. At this moment, the two vice leaders of the Talisman Gate, as well as Li Ku and the rest, came to Shao Chen's side. Their expressions were somewhat grave as they looked at Shao Chun. Sect leader, the evil path's reinforcements have arrived. After an entire night, with the cultivation of the evil spirits, Zi Shi and Shi Mei, it was indeed enough for them to reach the evil god palace. It wasn't much different from what Shao Chen had expected. The evil path didn't intend to give up on the evil god palace. Hearing this, Shao Chun said calmly, "Follow the plan." They already had a complete escape plan. Li Ku and the others nodded slightly. The Thousand Tribulation killing formation had been set up. Although it couldn't directly kill the evil spirits and the others, it could at least delay them for a while. And this period of time was the best chance for Shao Chun and the others to escape. As the evil spirits and the others were about to arrive, Xiao Chun ordered everyone to retreat. Although there were still many evil path cultivators fighting, with their strength, it was difficult for them to pose a threat to Xiao Chun and the others. They also couldn't stop them from retreating. As they broke through the encirclement, they retreated out of the evil god palace. At the same time, evil spirits, Zishi and Yin Tong, appeared outside the evil god palace. Looking at the devastated evil god palace, the eyes of the three evil spirits flashed with a cold light. Zishi said coldly, "You're courting death. Today, none of these people will leave." As he spoke, Violet Snake took a step forward, and his figure directly disappeared on the spot. Seeing this, Xian Ming and Qi Mei hurriedly followed. The evil god palace was indeed badly damaged by Xiao Chun and the others. However, as long as the blood Qi was fine, the evil path could accept it. Moreover, when Zishi and the others arrived, they would definitely make Xiao Chun and the others stay in the evil god palace forever. Xie Tian's intention was not to let any of Xiao Chun and the others go. After Zishi and the others arrived at the evil god palace, they chose to attack. They didn't give Xiao Chun and the others any chance to escape. However, when the three of them were about to step into the evil god palace, a talisman array soared into the sky. It was the Thousand Tribulation killing formation that Xiao Chun had ordered people to set up. This Thousand Tribulation killing formation was a top immortal grade talisman array. It was very powerful and could even threaten end realm experts. Although it couldn't kill Zishi and the others, even with their strength, they would still need some time to break free from the Thousand Tribulation killing formation. They were trapped in the Thousand Tribulation killing formation without any warning. However, the expressions of the three evil spirits didn't change. At their level, talisman arrays weren't much of a threat unless it was a talisman master at the Emperor realm. It was a pity that no matter if it was the evil path or the Great Thousand World, there was only one talisman master at the Emperor realm. That was the sect master of the talisman sect. However, he didn't come to the evil god palace. Although the talisman array set up by an end realm expert wasn't bad, it was still a little lacking. You want to trap us with just this talisman array? What a joke. Zishi said with a cold laugh. At the same time, the evil spirits took out a talisman array compass and threw it out without hesitation. In an instant, the talisman array compass was activated. The two talisman arrays canceled each other out and shattered. It could be said that it didn't take much effort to break the Thousand Tribulation killing formation. After the formation was broken, the three evil spirits didn't stop and continued to rush into the evil god palace. However, when the three of them arrived at the evil god palace, Xiao Chun and the others had already retreated. Looking at the devastated evil god palace after the battle, the faces of the three evil spirits were extremely ugly. They looked at each other, and the three of them chased after Xiao Chun and the others. Xiao Chun and the others didn't escape according to the route they came from. If they did, they would definitely be caught by the evil path. According to Xiao Chen's initial plan, they should escape in the opposite direction. They should rush out of the Hitian mansion and even the Great Thousand World first. That way, they might have a chance of survival. As for escaping back to Leaping Tiger City or Mausoleum City, the evil path wasn't stupid. Naturally, they wouldn't give Xiao Chun and the others such a chance. If they directly escaped back to Leaping Tiger City or Mausoleum City, they would probably be intercepted halfway. At that time, they would definitely be surrounded. Seeing that Xiao Chun and the others didn't escape in the direction of Leaping Tiger City or Mausoleum City, but in the opposite direction, the three evil spirits chased after them and laughed. They aren't too stupid. In the eyes of the evil spirits, Xiao Chen's decision was undoubtedly the best. Escaping in the opposite direction was their last chance of survival. However, even so, Xiao Chun and the others only had a slight chance of survival. In fact, it was still very difficult for them to escape. The three evil spirits chased after them. Behind them, a large number of evil path cultivators also followed closely. At the same time, Xiao Chun and the others, who had escaped first, also took out the spatial spirit boat and increased their speed to the maximum. Third brother, there's an entrance to the small thousand world in front. Shall we go in directly? Xianyuan Ling asked as they escaped. In front of them, which was the border of the Hetian mansion, was an entrance to the small thousand world. Hearing this, Xiao Chen nodded without hesitation. Let's go in first. This spatial spirit boat was naturally given to Xiao Chen and the others by Tenzu. Originally, with the spatial spirit boat, Xiao Chen and the others should be faster than the evil spirits. However, who would have thought that the evil spirits and the others were also riding on a spatial spirit boat? It was not strange that the evil path had a spatial spirit boat. Xiao Chen had already thought of this. Therefore, when he heard Xianyuan Ling's words, Xiao Chen chose to enter the small thousand world without hesitation. In the Hetian mansion, the possibility of Xiao Chen and the others escaping was too slim. After all, this was the evil path's territory. Only by rushing into the small thousand world would Xiao Chen and the others have a chance of escaping. At that time, they could think of other ways to return to the great thousand world. Xiao Chen had never thought of escaping the evil path's pursuit in the Hetian mansion. This was the only hope that he could see. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. End of chapter. Chapter 24:13. Fishing in troubled waters. Only by stirring up the waters would Xiao Chen and the others have a chance to escape. If they continued to stay in the Hetian mansion, they would be like catching a turtle in a jar. Therefore, Xiao Chen and the others had to leave the Hetian mansion. No matter which pocket dimension they entered, they would have a chance to escape. Fishing in troubled waters. Only by stirring up the waters would Xiao Chen and the others have a chance to escape. If they continued to stay in the Hetian mansion, they would be like catching a turtle in a jar. Therefore, Xiao Chen and the others had to leave the Hetian mansion. No matter which pocket dimension they entered, they would have a chance to escape. The speed of the spatial spirit boat was very fast. Not long after, Xiao Chen and the others arrived at the entrance to the unknown pocket dimension. Xiao Chen and the others naturally did not know much about this pocket dimension. After all, there were at least 8,000 pocket dimension entrances like this all over the Great Thousand World. However, this was nothing to Xiao Chen and the others. Without the slightest hesitation, Xiao Chen and the others drove the spatial spirit boat and directly rushed in. Not long after Xiao Chen and the others entered the pocket dimension, the evil spirits and the others also arrived in the spatial spirit boat. Looking at the entrance of the spatial passage in front of them, the evil spirits revealed a faint smile on their faces. Do you want to survive in a desperate situation? Unfortunately, Xiao Chen, your thinking is too simple. Do you think you can fight for a chance of survival after leaving the Hetian mansion? After saying that, the evil spirits and the others also drove the spatial spirit boat and directly rushed into the spatial passage. In the spatial passage, Xiao Chen did not have a good plan for the next step of the plan. After all, even Xiao Chen himself did not know the situation of the pocket dimension on the other side of the spatial passage. At this point, he could only take one step at a time. Anyway, no matter what, it was better than staying in the Hetian mansion. Within the pitch-black spatial tunnel, Xiao Chen and the evil spirits' spatial spirit boats were traveling at high speed, one in front and one behind. Both parties had raised the speed of their spatial spirit boats to the extreme. It did not take long for Xiao Chen's group to take the lead and charge out of the spatial tunnel. However, the expressions of Xiao Chen's group instantly turned ugly when they saw the scene in front of them from the deck. In other words, this minor thousand world was already under the control of the Evil Path's Starry Sky battleship. They didn't expect the situation at the other end of the space channel to be like this. Following the appearance of Xiao Chen and the others, many evil warriors flew out from the starship. They had obviously sensed the presence of Xiao Chen and the others. For a moment, everyone could not help but feel a sense of despair. However, at this moment, Xiao Chen made a prompt decision. Don't stop. Let's rush over first. With that, Xiao Chen took a step forward and flew out of the spatial spirit boat, blocking the evil warriors who were attacking them. The spatial spirit boat could not be damaged. Without the spatial spirit boat, with their own speed, they would not be able to escape from the evil path's pursuit. Therefore, Shao Chun chose to ensure that the spatial spirit boat was not damaged. Seeing that Shao Chun had taken action, Long Qing, Xin Yuanling, and the others followed suit. The others controlled the spatial spirit boat and flew away directly behind Shao Chun and the others, preparing to break through the defense of the evil path starship. Sensing that Shao Chun and the others were martial artists from the Great Thousand World, the evil path starship, who was in charge of guarding, naturally took action. However, with Shao Chun's strength, as long as the evil honorable did not take action, the ordinary evil path starship would not be a match for him. Like a sharp sword, Shao Chun, with the cooperation of Long Qing, Xin Yuanling, and the others, quickly tore a gap in the evil path's defensive line. The spatial spirit boat also successfully broke through with Shao Chun and the others. There was no intention to continue fighting. After all, the goal of Shao Chun and the others was to escape, not to annihilate the evil path starship. After breaking through the evil path starship, Shao Chun and the others returned to the spatial spirit boat and disappeared into the starry sky. They were unable to stop Shao Chun and the others. At the same time, not long after, the evil spirit's spatial spirit boat appeared in the spatial tunnel. In fact, the evil spirits had long known that this minor thousand world was completely controlled by the evil path starship. Therefore, when they learned that Shao Chun and the others had entered this minor thousand world, the evil spirits smiled and did not look too worried. Seeing that Shao Chun and the others had successfully broken through the defensive line, the evil spirits were not surprised or annoyed at all. They had long known that these people would not be able to stop Shao Chun. However, the evil spirits still had a cold smile on their faces. Shao Chun, do you think that entering the Heaven Awakened realm will give you hope of escaping? You don't know that the Heaven Awakened realm is the same as the Heavenly Palace. The Heaven Awakened realm was the name of this minor thousand world. It was also controlled by the evil path starship. Moreover, all the factions in the Heaven Awakened realm that did not submit to the evil path had been killed, and the remaining people had all become members of the evil path. Within the Heaven Awakened realm, the evil spirits still did not believe that Shao Chun had any chance of escaping. After speaking, the evil spirits took out a sound transmission talisman and contacted the various large factions in the Heaven Awakened realm to search for Shao Chun and the others. At the same time, the Violet Snake and Chi Mei acted together and sealed the spatial tunnel leading to the Heaven Awakened realm. This meant that Shao Chun and the others were completely trapped in the Heaven Awakened realm. Unless an emperor from the Great Thousand World came to save them, Shao Chun and the others would not be able to leave the Heaven Awakened realm. After doing all of this, the evil spirits were filled with confidence. Shao Chun would not be able to escape from them, and the Heaven Awakened realm would be where Shao Chun would fall. As soon as the evil spirits acted, they had completely sealed off all paths of escape for Shao Chun and the others. On the other side, no one knew that the Heaven Awakened realm had fallen into the hands of the evil path, and everyone's hearts were heavy. They had thought that they would have a chance of survival, but who would have thought that it would be a dead end? Within the spatial spirit boat, everyone's expressions were extremely unsightly, and they were even filled with despair. However, Shao Chun still did not give up. Even though the situation was worse than he had expected, they had not fallen into the evil path's hands yet. As long as they had not fallen into the evil path's hands, Shao Chun felt that there was still hope. As such, Shao Chun's gaze swept over everyone as he spoke. When we received this mission, we knew that there was a slim chance of survival. Right now, we still have a chance of survival. Although this minor world has fallen into the evil path's control, at least we have not fallen into their hands yet. That way, we still have a chance to escape. Furthermore, even if we die in the end, I believe that I will die before you. However, until the final moment, we should not give up hope. Everyone was startled for a moment before looking at Shao Chun and nodding. Even before the final moment, Shao Chun's words gave everyone a glimmer of hope. Indeed, in this kind of situation, if everyone fell into despair, then there really would be no hope. Please add me to your collection. Please recommend me. Chapter 24:14. The current situation was indeed very bad, but Xiao Chun still did not give up hope. Even if there was only a slim chance of survival, Xiao Chun would definitely give it a try. The current situation was indeed very bad, but Xiao Chun still did not give up hope. Even if there was only a slim chance of survival, Xiao Chun would definitely give it a try. With Xiao Chun's encouragement, everyone gradually calmed down, and then they began to discuss how to deal with the next situation. According to Xiao Chun's idea, the evil path had probably sealed off the space passage to this small world. Under such circumstances, it was obviously impossible for Xiao Chun and the others to escape from this small world. Moreover, the sovereigns of the Great Thousand World would probably not be able to come to their rescue in a short period of time. Therefore, the only thing Xiao Chun and the others could do now was to stall for time. After all, the evil spirits and the others could not stay in this small world forever, because the evil spirits and the others could not be absent from the main battlefield. Once the time was dragged on for too long, the evil path would inevitably be forced to call back the evil spirits and the others due to the pressure of the main battlefield. At that time, without the evil spirits and the others, the pressure on Xiao Chun and the others would naturally be reduced. At that time, even if they were to face an evil sovereign, Xiao Chun's strength would be enough to deal with him for a while. The evil path wanted to close the door and beat the dogs, while Xiao Chun and the others had to stall for time and do their best to deal with the evil spirits and the others in this small world. After hearing Xiao Chun's idea, everyone nodded in agreement. After all, this was the best and only way at the moment. After reaching an agreement, Xiao Chun and the others also dismissed the idea of returning to the space passage. According to Xiao Chun's guess, the space passage was probably completely sealed at this time. Even if they went back, there was no point. They directly flew into the depths of this small world. Next, Xiao Chun and the others would be entangled with the evil path in this small world. While Xiao Chun and the others made their decision, on the other side, after sealing the space passage, the evil spirits and the others directly left. They did not choose to stay because with Xiao Chun and the others' strength, there was no way for them to break through the purple snake and Chi Mei's seal. At the same time, the evil spirits had already sent messages to the various major forces in the Heaven Awakened world. In an instant, countless starships rose up from the various continents of the Heaven Awakened world and searched the endless starry sky for the whereabouts of Xiao Chun and the others. Within the Heaven Awakened world, no force dared to disobey the evil path's orders. After all, the Heaven Awakened world was not like the Great Thousand Worlds, and it did not have the strength to resist the evil path. Moreover, when the Heaven Awakened world had just taken control of the Heaven Awakened palace, the evil path had already invaded the Heaven Awakened world. After such a long time, the Heaven Awakened world was firmly controlled by the evil path. Once the evil spirits gave the order, all the cultivators in the Heaven Awakened world joined in the hunt for Xiao Chun and the others. On the spatial spirit ship, the evil spirits and the others did not move very quickly. After all, there was still no trace of Xiao Chun, and the evil spirits and the others did not have a direction. Evil spirits, we don't have much time. We need to kill Xiao Chun and the others as soon as possible, Violet Snake said to the evil spirits as the three of them sat together in a circle within the spatial spirit ship. Her expression was grave. Compared to Xiao Chun and the others, the evil spirits and the others were under a lot of pressure. After all, without the three of them on the main battlefield, the evil path would definitely be at a disadvantage. If the situation dragged on for too long, the main battlefield might collapse. The evil spirits naturally knew this, but hearing Violet Snake's words, the evil spirits smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'll definitely find them within 3 days." The evil spirits were confident that they would find Xiao Chun and the others within 3 days and then kill them. Hearing evil spirits' words, Violet Snake nodded. They could afford to wait for 3 days, but if they still could not find Xiao Chun and the others in 3 days, they would have no choice but to return to the main battlefield. The evil spirits seemed incredibly confident, and this was indeed the case. The evil spirits had already set up an inescapable net, and this net was continuously shrinking. The evil spirits secretly contacted the sect masters of the various large factions in the Heaven-Awakened world, and the evil spirits secretly gave them many orders. After receiving the orders from the evil spirits, these sect masters did not dare to disobey and resolutely carried out the orders. After floating through the starry sky for half a day, Xiao Chun and the others encountered their first encirclement. The ones who attacked were large sects from the Heaven-Awakened world. They had received orders from the evil spirits to search for Xiao Chun and the others. They didn't expect to actually meet Xiao Chun and the others. The spatial spirit boat and the starship met. At this moment, on the starship, an old man with a mortal emperor cultivation did not choose to attack immediately. Instead, when he saw Xiao Chun and the others' spatial spirit boat, he immediately ordered a retreat. At the same time, he contacted the evil spirits through a sound transmission talisman. He had no intention of fighting Xiao Chun and the others. However, seeing this, Xiao Chun did not hesitate to order, "Kill, don't leave anyone alive." Xiao Chun did not care about the identities of these people and directly ordered a massacre. In an instant, Li Ku, Wang, Song Xue, and the other End Realm experts directly attacked. Not long after, the starship was destroyed and everyone on it was killed. However, even if Xiao Chen's reaction was not good, the evil spirits had already received the news and confirmed the location of Xiao Chun and the others. The evil spirits instantly revealed a cold smile. "Xiao Chun, let's see where you can run now." After saying that, the evil spirits used several sound transmission talismans. Then, they drove the spatial spirit boat and rushed towards where Xiao Chun and the others were. In the end, the location of Xiao Chun and the others was exposed. Although the evil spirits and the others had not arrived yet, all the cultivators in the Heaven-Awakened world had secretly surrounded the area where Xiao Chun and the others were. Things went smoother than the evil spirits had expected. As long as they knew Xiao Chen's approximate location, the evil spirits were confident that they could surround Xiao Chun and not give him any chance. In fact, in the next half a day, Xiao Chun and the others also realized that something was wrong. In just half a day, they had already encountered more than 10 starships. Although these starships were destroyed by Xiao Chun and the others and the cultivators on them were all killed, the sudden appearance of so many starships was extremely abnormal. One had to know that Xiao Chun and the others were currently in the Heaven-Awakened world's starry sky. Moreover, they were far away from the continent. How could so many starships appear in such a starry sky? There was only one explanation, and that was that their location had been exposed. These starships had all come for them. Standing on the deck of the spatial spirit boat and watching Li Ku and the others destroy another starship, Xiao Chun did not show any joy on his face. On the contrary, he said with a heavy tone, "I'm afraid that we have already been surrounded." Begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 24:15. I'm afraid we've been surrounded. Xiao Chun had a rough idea of what was going on after seeing more than 10 spaceships in half a day. I'm afraid we've been surrounded. Xiao Chun had a rough idea of what was going on after seeing more than 10 spaceships in half a day. Most likely, their whereabouts had been completely exposed when the first starship had appeared, and the phantasms had surrounded this area of the Starry River as soon as possible. The evil spirits definitely knew that these local cultivators of the Heaven-Awakened world were no match for Xiao Chen's group. They didn't even need Xiao Chun to act personally. They only needed to send out an End Realm expert to easily destroy these spaceships and kill the cultivators on them. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Long Qing, Xianyuan Ling, Gu Ling Yao, and the others all had serious expressions on their faces. We've been discovered so quickly. It had only been less than a day. If what Xiao Chun said was true, then wouldn't the situation become extremely dangerous? Actually, there were some things that Xiao Chun didn't say out loud. The current situation wasn't just dangerous. It was truly a situation where they had a slim chance of survival. The evil spirits were definitely prepared for Xiao Qin's group to break out of the encirclement. Therefore, they didn't immediately close the encirclement. As a result, no matter what Xiao Qin's group did, they would always be surrounded by the evil spirits. If they didn't think of a way to break out of the encirclement now, it would probably be too late when the evil spirits arrived. At that time, it would be even more difficult to break out of the encirclement. Not giving the order to immediately search the encirclement was like boiling a frog in warm water. They didn't directly force Xiao Qin's group into a dead end. Instead, they gave Xiao Qin's group the wrong impression that the situation wasn't too bad. But in reality, Xiao Qin's group was basically like fish on a chopping board. They were just waiting for the evil spirits to arrive and deal a fatal blow. Moreover, apart from these, the evil spirits definitely had other backup plans. With Xiao Qin's understanding of the evil spirits were very meticulous and would definitely be fully prepared. The situation would only be worse than expected. Moreover, it was probably getting harder and harder to break out of the encirclement because the cultivators of the heaven-awakened world listened to the orders of the evil spirits and only surrounded them. The entire encirclement was moving along with Xiao Qin's group. In other words, no matter where Xiao Qin's group went, they would always be surrounded by the evil spirits. The evil spirits would also know where Xiao Qin's group was at all times. Thinking about it, the evil spirits should be arriving soon. Xiao Qin sighed helplessly. The evil spirits were truly a headache. Not only were they meticulous, but their methods were also shrewd and ruthless. In truth, Xiao Qin would rather face an evil sovereign than face the evil spirits. But there was no other way. Now, Xiao Qin had no choice but to face the evil spirits. Moreover, he was at an absolute disadvantage against the evil spirits. The situation on Xiao Qin's side could be said to be extremely dangerous. On the other side, after a day and night of resistance, the Evil Path side gave up Leaping Tiger City. However, the Evil Path side took the initiative to give up Leaping Tiger City, so their losses were not too great. On the other hand, the Great Thousand Worlds side finally obtained Leaping Tiger City as they wished. As a result, both Leaping Tiger City and Mausoleum City fell into the hands of the Great Thousand Worlds side. The situation seemed to be gradually tilting towards the Great Thousand Worlds side. However, even though they had succeeded in taking Leaping Tiger City, Jun Wuya and the other sovereigns were not too happy. This was because everyone was worried about Xiao Qin's situation. After taking Leaping Tiger City, the sovereigns arranged the defenses and came to the city lord's mansion's hall. They gathered together to discuss how to rescue Xiao Qin and the others. Xiao Qin and the others have entered the heaven-awakened world? Luo Xing asked with a grave expression after hearing the latest news about Xiao Qin and the others. In response, Yin Letian also said in a deep voice, "The heaven-awakened world is a small world within the He-Tian mansion. I wonder what the situation inside is like. I know a little about the heaven-awakened world situation. It's not complicated, but the only problem is that the entrance to the heaven-awakened world is too close to the evil god palace. I'm afraid that the heaven-awakened world has already been controlled by the evil path. If that's really the case, then Xiao Qin and the others are in danger," Dao Xiong said. The heaven-awakened world was just a small world, so it was naturally impossible for the sovereigns to pay attention to it. The only thing they were worried about was whether the heaven-awakened world was controlled by the evil path. If it was, then it would be very dangerous for Xiao Qin and the others to escape into the heaven-awakened world. At that time, as long as the evil path controlled the entrance to the heaven-awakened world, they would be able to catch a turtle in a jar. Xiao Qin and the others would not even be able to escape. Hearing this, Jun Wuya indifferently said, "There's no need to doubt it. The heaven-awakened world is definitely controlled by the evil path. Moreover, if my guess is correct, the spatial channel to the heaven-awakened world has most likely been sealed. With Xiao Qin and the other strength, they won't be able to open it." Jun Wuya's guess was correct. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. If that was really the case, then what should they do? Unless the sovereigns went to help, Xiao Qin and the others would have no chance of survival. However, although the evil path had given up on Leaping Tiger City, they did not retreat. Instead, they set up camp in a city not far from Leaping Tiger City. From the looks of it, they were planning to prevent the sovereigns from going to help. With Xietian and the others blocking the way, it was basically impossible for the sovereigns to go to the Heaven-Awakened world to help. Moreover, Leaping Tiger City had just been captured. If they sent people to help, it was very likely that the evil path would counterattack. At that time, they would lose Leaping Tiger City and all their previous efforts would be wasted. Thinking of this, Dao Xiong angrily shouted, "This group of damned evil path cultivators, each and every one of them is extremely sinister." Dao Xiong angrily cursed. However, from a certain point of view, Xietian's choice was indeed the most correct. Now, the Great Thousand World side was in the same situation as the evil path side. They had fallen into a difficult choice. On one hand, Xiao Chun and the others were in a desperate situation. If they did not save them, it was very likely that they would die. On the other hand, if they chose to save them, then Leaping Tiger City, which had an unstable foundation, would be lost again. Every dog has its day. The evil path's original feeling was perfectly reflected in the sovereigns of the Great Thousand World. This was also Xietian's doing. After learning that the evil god palace had been ambushed, Xietian made the most correct choice in the shortest time possible, causing the sovereigns of the Great Thousand World to fall into a dilemma. To save or not to save? To sacrifice Xiao, Chun, and the others and fight steadily and surely? Or to take a wild gamble and save Xiao Chun and the others? For a time, the sovereigns' opinions were divided. Dao Xiong, Luo Xing, Li Chun, and the others were in favor of saving Xiao Chun. No matter what, they should not give up on Xiao Chun. However, on the other side, Yin Litian, Yin Chun, and the others thought that they should prioritize the overall situation. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 24:16. Within the City Lord's mansion, Junwia, Dao Xiong, Yin Litian, and the other sovereigns were arguing endlessly. Within the City Lord's mansion, Junwia, Dao Xiong, Yin Litian, and the other sovereigns were arguing endlessly. Bullshit. If it weren't for Xiao Chen's sacrifice, how could the current situation have occurred? If we don't save Xiao Chun, wouldn't the cultivators of the Great Thousand World be disappointed? Dao Xiong shouted angrily. Hearing Dao Xiong's words, Yin Litian was unwilling to be outdone. Yes, this king acknowledges Xiao Chen's sacrifice, but with the current situation, if we forcefully save him, what will happen to Leaping Tiger City? Are we going to hand over Leaping Tiger City, which we just obtained, to the evil path? Both sides had their own opinions, and neither side was willing to accept the other. As the two sides argued, Junwia suddenly spoke from the main seat. "Everyone, it's useless to continue arguing like this. I wonder if you can listen to this, old man." Junwia spoke slowly. Hearing this, everyone's gazes fell on Junwia. Facing everyone's gazes, Junwia said indifferently, "The current situation is very complicated, and it's very difficult for us to save Xiao Chun. However, this old man believed that the best way to save Xiao Chun is to continuously exert pressure on the battlefield. Right now, the evil spirits, Zi Shi and Shi Mei, are chasing after Xiao Chun. Without the three of them, the evil path strength on the battlefield is definitely inferior to ours. We can use pressure to force the evil spirits back." Dao Xiong, Luo Xing, and the others' eyes lit up when they heard Junwuya's words. They were overjoyed. Yes, this was a good idea. It was unrealistic to directly head to the Heaven-Awakened realm to save Xiao Chun. Moreover, the evil path wouldn't let the sovereigns reach the Heaven-Awakened realm so easily. Since that was the case, they would do the opposite. They would use pressure on the battlefield to force the evil spirits back. Just think about it. If they couldn't hold on the battlefield, would the evil spirits still have time to chase after Xiao Chun and the others? Obviously, it was impossible. Once they lost on the battlefield, the entire evil path would be in danger. Therefore, if the evil path really couldn't hold on in a head-on battle, Xie Ming and the other two would definitely retreat as soon as possible. At that time, Without Xie Ming and the others, Xiao Chun and the others would naturally be safe. Secondly, Jun Wuya's method also guaranteed that Leaping Tiger City would be safe. It could be said that it was the best of both worlds. After hearing Jun Wuya's words, even Yin Litian and Yun Shun had nothing to say. Indeed, this was the best way. Without much hesitation, Dao Xiong was the first to speak. All right, Brother Wuya's idea is not bad. Next, we'll launch a fierce attack on the corrupt path. I refuse to believe that the three phantasms won't retreat. Dao Xiong agreed. Then, Yin Litian and Yun Shun also nodded in agreement before the crowd's gazes. Increasing the pressure on the evil path and forcing the evil path to withdraw the three evil spirits was the only thing the sovereigns could do for Xiao Chun and the others. However, the sovereigns' plan still needed time to succeed. In other words, Xiao Chun and the others would have to rely on their own strength to hold on in the Heaven Awakened realm for a few more days. Only then would they be able to hold on until the three evil spirits retreated. However, the sovereigns clearly didn't know about the situation in the Heaven Awakened realm, nor did they know about Xiao Chun and the others' current predicament. In just one day, Xiao Chun and the others had already fallen into a tight encirclement. It would be extremely difficult for them to hold on for a few more days. Xiao Chun naturally didn't know about what the sovereigns were doing. At this moment, Xiao Chun and the others had dealt with the starship in front of them and were driving the spatial spirit boat in a different direction. Xiao Chun's current goal was very simple: to break out of the encirclement. Only by breaking out of the encirclement would they be able to continue dealing with the evil spirits. Once they were completely surrounded, there was nothing they could do. The spatial spirit boat's speed was pushed to the limit. Xiao Chun wanted to break out of the encirclement in one go. Seeing the grim expression on Xiao Chun's face, everyone knew how tense the situation was. Although the phantasms hadn't made a move yet, if this continued, they would be trapped like turtles in a jar. Third brother, it's not working. We're moving forward, but these bastards are also moving. We're still surrounded. The major forces of the Heaven Awakened realm were completely following the instructions of the evil spirits. They were only surrounding Xiao Chun and the others, not attacking. When Xiao Chun and the others moved, they also moved to ensure that Xiao Chun and the others were always surrounded. Hearing Xin Yuanling's words, Xiao Chun calmly said, "It's fine. The spatial spirit boat's speed is much faster than the starships. I believe that it won't be long before we encounter the encirclement." Just as Xiao Chun finished speaking, Li Ku, who was on the deck, suddenly shouted, "Sect Master, I see it. I see the starships." Hearing this, Xiao Chun and the others immediately went to the deck. Sure enough, from a distance, they could see dozens of starships at the end of their line of sight. Obviously, this was where the encirclement was. Immediately, a cold light flashed in Xiao Chun's eyes, and he coldly said, "Don't stop, charge." Since they had already seen the encirclement, the next step was to break out of the encirclement at all costs. They had to break out of the encirclement before the evil spirits arrived. After saying that, Xiao Chun jumped off the spatial spirit boat and directly attacked the starships. Seeing this, Long Qing, Xin Yuanling, Li Ku, and the others naturally followed closely behind. Only Gu Lingyao and the other two women remained on the spatial spirit boat. They were responsible for controlling the spatial spirit boat. There were at least tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of cultivators on the dozens of starships. However, Xiao Chun and the others didn't have to worry about this at all. None of the cultivators from the Heaven Awakened realm were very strong. So far, the strongest cultivator that Xiao Chun and the others had encountered was only at the Immortal Emperor realm. Under Xiao Chun's lead, the group quickly tore open a path. The major forces of the Heaven Awakened realm had no way of stopping Xiao Chun and the others. It could be said that it was very easy to break out of the encirclement. However, just as Xiao Chun and the others broke out of the encirclement, a spatial spirit boat rapidly flew over from afar. Xiao Chun, who had just returned to the deck, immediately saw the evil spirits standing on the deck of the spatial spirit boat. He immediately shouted in a deep voice, "Let's go." He didn't expect the evil spirits to arrive so quickly. However, now wasn't the time to be entangled with them. If there was only one evil spirit, Xiao Chun naturally wouldn't be afraid. However, there were also two evil spirits, Purple Snake and Chi Mei, beside the evil spirits. Once they were entangled, Xiao Chun would only be able to deal with the evil spirits. Purple Snake, Chi Mei, Long Qing, Xinyuan Ling, and the others wouldn't be able to stop them. Without any hesitation, the spatial spirit boat's speed instantly increased to the maximum. However, the evil spirits sneered, "Xiao Chun, it's already like this. Do you think you can still escape?" Seeking collection, seeking monthly votes, seeking recommendations. Chapter 2417. Although Xiao Chen's group had successfully charged out of the encirclement, the evil spirits had also arrived. At this time, Xiao Chen chose to escape without any hesitation. Seeing this, the evil spirits naturally quickly chased after him. After finding Xiao Chen's location with great difficulty, the evil spirits naturally wouldn't give Xiao Chen any chance to escape. Moreover, Xietian's side had already sent a message saying that on the main battlefield, the large world side was constantly pressuring them. Without the three evil spirits, it was indeed hard for the evil path to resist. So, he hoped that the evil spirits could quickly take care of Xiao Chen's group and return to the main battlefield. The main battlefield was tense, so the evil spirits naturally wouldn't waste any time. So, a cold glow flashed in their eyes, looking like they wouldn't give up until they killed Xiao Chun. The two spatial spirit boats flew through the endless starry sky one after the other. Whether it was Xiao Chun or the evil spirits, they had already raised the speed of the spatial spirit boats to the limit, flying the entire way. But seeing that they couldn't shake off the evil spirits, Xiao Chen's group became more and more serious. Xinyuan Ling even said to Xiao Chun in a small voice, "Third brother, this won't do. We'll definitely be caught." Xinyuan Ling could tell that if they didn't come up with a solution soon, Xiao Chun and the others wouldn't be able to shake off the phantasms and the others. If this went on, the phantasms and the others would definitely catch up to them. Hearing Xinyuan Ling's words, Xiao Chun slightly knit his brows. He naturally understood this logic, but both sides had spatial spirit boats, and the evil spirits were tightly biting onto him. Wanting to shake them off was easier said than done. They both had spatial spirit boats, and there wasn't any difference in speed. Like this, how could they shake off the evil spirits? Get someone to stall for time? Of course, this was unrealistic. Although there were only 3 of them, they were all evil exalts. Even if Phantasm hadn't truly broken through to the evil exalt's realm and was only a half-step evil exalt's, his battle prowess was indeed not much different from that of an ordinary evil exalt's. With such a lineup, even Xiao Chun would find it hard to delay them. No matter how strong Xiao Chun was or how confident he was, it was impossible for him to face 3 evil sovereigns at the same time. No one could do that. The situation seemed to have fallen into a dangerous situation. Xiao Chun and the others were faced with a dead end. Although the evil spirits had yet to catch up to them, it was only a matter of time before they caught up to them. Once the evil spirits blocked their path, Xiao Chen's group would most likely be doomed. With their current strength, it was simply impossible for them to contend against the power of 3 evil sovereigns. Xiao Chun frowned and kept thinking of a way to deal with the situation. However, in Xiao Chen's opinion, there was no better way now. They couldn't escape, and they couldn't beat them. Everything seemed to have fallen into a dead end. The 2 spatial spirit boats were still in the starry sky, moving quickly. They seemed to have forgotten about the time and had no direction to speak of. In the end, even Xiao Chun and the others didn't know where they were. They only wanted to increase their speed. It would be best if they could shake off the evil spirits and the others. However, the evil spirits didn't have the slightest intention of giving up. They were still closely following behind Xiao Chun and the others. Moreover, after such a long chase, the evil spirits and the others seemed to have closed the distance between them. Although this distance didn't seem to be much now, it was obvious that they would catch up in the long run. The evil spirits and the others' spatial spirit boats were faster than Xiao Chen's? This was clearly impossible. The only difference was in the people controlling the spatial spirit boats. On Xiao Chen's side, Xiao Chen was personally controlling the spatial spirit boat. On the other hand, the evil spirit's spatial spirit boat was controlled by Qi Mei, the evil sovereign. As a true evil sovereign, with her controlling the spatial spirit boat, its speed naturally reached its peak. As such, it wasn't difficult to understand why they were faster than Xiao Chen and the others. Just like that, the two sides chased and fled, quickly moving through the heaven-awakened realm's starry sky. As the distance between them grew closer and closer, the evil spirits on the deck found an opportunity and pointed a finger. A blood-red finger light shot towards Xiao Chun and the others' spatial spirit boats. The evil spirits wanted to destroy Xiao Chun and the others' spatial spirit boats and completely prevent Xiao Chun and the others from escaping. Facing the evil spirits' attack, Xiao Chun was stunned. He immediately said to Xianyuan Ling and Long Qing, "Big brother, second sister, you two control the spatial spirit boats." Facing the evil spirits' attack, only Xiao Chun could block it. The others simply didn't have this ability. As such, without any hesitation, Xiao Chun directly handed control of the spatial spirit boats to Long Qing and Xianyuan Ling. As for Xiao Chun, he stepped onto the deck and pointed a finger at the evil spirit's blood-red finger light. An azure finger light flashed, and the two fiercely collided. Xiao Chun acted in time, narrowly avoiding damage to the spatial spirit boats. However, because Xiao Chun was unable to continue controlling the spatial spirit boats, the spatial spirit boats' speed slowed down. The evil spirits had naturally guessed this. As such, when they saw Xiao Chun act in time and block their attack, not only were the evil spirits not angry at all, but a trace of a smile flashed through their eyes instead. "Xiao Chun, do you think you can escape like this?" As they spoke, the evil spirits launched another attack. Seeing this, Xiao Chun could only helplessly block it. Subsequently, the evil spirits continued to attack, and Xiao Chun also continued to resist. For a moment, Xiao Chun simply didn't have the chance to control the spatial spirit boats. The evil spirits wanted to delay Xiao Chun and prevent Xiao Chun from controlling the spatial spirit boats. Without Xiao Chun controlling the spatial spirit boats, the spatial spirit boats' speed naturally couldn't be compared to before. As a result, the evil spirits naturally continued to close the distance between them. "Little brother, this won't do. They're too fast. If this continues, they'll catch up sooner or later." Long Qing, who was controlling the spatial spirit boats, also discovered that the distance between the two parties was constantly closing. At this moment, he anxiously shouted at Xiao Chun. Hearing Long Qing's words, Xiao Chun actually already guessed the evil spirit's intention. He knew that the evil spirits were deliberately delaying him and not giving him a chance to control the spatial spirit boats. However, even if he knew this, Xiao Chun couldn't do anything because if Xiao Chun didn't attack, the evil spirits could directly attack the spatial spirit boats. Once the spatial spirit boats were damaged, everything would be over. Therefore, even if he understood everything, Xiao Chun couldn't do anything. Hearing Long Qing's words, Xiao Chun could only block the evil spirit's attacks while shouting in a deep voice. "Don't worry about anything else. Just do your best." In the current situation, Long Qing and the others definitely couldn't do anything. He could only tell them not to think too much and to do their best to escape. Please add, please vote, please recommend. Chapter 2418. With the cultivation base of Long Qing, Xianyuan Ling, and the others, the speed of the spatial spirit boat was naturally slower than that of Qi Mei and Purple Snake, the two evil lords. Furthermore, Xiao Chun did not need to defend against the continuous attacks from the phantasms, so he had no way to control the spatial spirit boat. With the cultivation base of Long Qing, Xianyuan Ling, and the others, the speed of the spatial spirit boat was naturally slower than that of Qi Mei and Purple Snake, the two evil lords. Furthermore, Xiao Chun did not need to defend against the continuous attacks from the phantasms, so he had no way to control the spatial spirit boat. The evil spirits had already made their decision. They would stall Xiao Chun, otherwise he would have time to control the spatial spirit boats. If this continued, with Chi Mei and Purple Snake's cultivations, they would catch up to Xiao Chen's group sooner or later. The distance between the two sides kept closing. Although it wasn't fast, the evil spirits group was indeed closing in on Xiao Chen's group. The two spatial spirit boats kept closing in. If this continued, not long after, the evil spirits group would be able to block the path of Xiao Chen's group. A helpless look flashed in his eyes. With things like this, Xiao Chen indeed had no other choice. After all, no matter how many plans he had, in this kind of situation, it was very hard to use them. To put it bluntly, the difference in strength between the two sides was just too big. If it was just the evil spirits that came this time, it wouldn't matter if Xiao Chen fought with them. But it was a pity that there was also Purple Snake and Chi Mei. Like this, Xiao Chun had no chance of winning at all. Sending out 3 evil lords at the same time, Xie Tian's meaning from the beginning was very clear. He didn't want to give Xiao Chun any chance to make a comeback. The evil spirits were also very clear on this point, so they didn't give Xiao Chun any chance at all when they made a move. Although the evil spirits admired Xiao Chun very much and sympathized with him, there were some things that they couldn't do anything about. Everyone had their own master, so the evil spirits could only kill him. After all, the evil spirits had already lost the last battle between the righteous and evil. They could not afford to lose again. Therefore, the evil spirits had to kill Xiao Chun. There was a trace of pity in his heart, but he didn't show the slightest mercy. His attacks didn't stop at all. In this regard, Xiao Chun could only helplessly counterattack. Looking at Xiao Chun and the evil spirits continuously attacking each other, Gu Lingyao and the other 2 girls could not help at all. With their cultivation, they were no match for the evil spirits. They could not even take one hit from him. Their faces were filled with worry, but there was nothing they could do. However, the 3 girls did not feel much fear. It was like the 3 girls said before, as long as they could stay by Xiao Chen's side. Even if they died, the 3 girls would not be afraid. The 3 girls knew that this trip would be dangerous from the beginning, but the 3 of them still chose to follow Xiao Chun without any hesitation. So, even if they were in a hopeless situation, the 3 girls were not afraid at all. Gritting their teeth, the 3 girls stared at Xiao Chun in front of them, not caring about the space spirit ship that came closer and closer. At the same time, Xiao Chun seemed to have noticed the gazes of the 3 girls, and he revealed a helpless smile as he spoke. It seems like there's nothing we can do this time. When he said this, Xiao Chen's face was filled with helplessness and self-deprecation, but there was no fear. Hearing this, Gu Lingyao and the other 2 revealed faint smiles as they said, "We're not afraid." The 4 of them looked at each other and saw no trace of fear in each other's eyes. They were not afraid of death. As long as they could stay by each other's side, that was enough. Looking at the 3 girls' expressions, Xiao Chun had mixed feelings. But at this moment, no one knew where they were, but a spatial barrier appeared in front of them. A spatial barrier. This was a place that divided the boundaries of a world. In the past, the 8 Desolates world also had a spatial barrier. But what was strange was that above the spatial barrier of the Heaven Awakened world, there was a huge black hole. It was like the mouth of an abyss that opened its bloody mouth wide, wanting to devour everything. The appearance of the mysterious black hole stunned Li Ku and the others. Then they shouted anxiously, "Sectmaster, you see." Upon hearing Li Ku and the others' voices, Xiao Chun turned to look. Even with Xiao Chen's eyesight, he had never seen a spatial black hole before. This wasn't a spatial channel, but a mysterious black hole. Xiao Chun had never seen or come into contact with it before. Instinctively, Xiao Chun sensed a strong and dangerous aura from the mysterious black hole. The aura made Xiao Chun shudder, even though it was not cold. This was a shiver that came from the depths of his soul. It was as though it was constantly telling Xiao Chun that this thing was dangerous and that he had to get away from it as soon as possible. Sure enough, as the spatial spirit boat got closer to the mysterious black hole, A huge suction force appeared as though it wanted to suck Xiao Chun and the others in. Sensing the appearance of this huge suction force, Long Qing and Xian Yuan Ling, who were controlling the spatial spirit boat, shouted anxiously, "Little brother, this is bad. We have to get here as soon as possible. The suction force is too strong." This suction force wasn't something that Xiao Chun and the others could resist with their cultivation. Besides, they had never seen such power before. The spatial spirit boat was on the verge of going out of control. On the other side, the evil spirits also saw the mysterious black hole. Evidently, Xian Ming and the others had long since known about the existence of this mysterious black hole. After all, the Heaven-Awakened world had been under the corrupt path's control for a long time. After taking control of the Heaven-Awakened world, the corrupt path had discovered this mysterious black hole. Even Xietian had personally come to this place to study it. However, the results were disappointing because even Xietian couldn't figure out what this mysterious black hole was. It wasn't a spatial channel, so they didn't know where this mysterious black hole led to. Xietian even wanted to enter it to test it out, but he was surrounded by danger. Even Xietian couldn't figure out the mysteries of this mysterious black hole and even sensed a strong, dangerous aura from it. That was why the evil path gave up on this place and no longer approached it. Who would have thought that they would actually end up in the mysterious black hole? A grim look flashed across the phantasm's eyes as he gazed at the mysterious black hole. To humans, the unknown was often the most frightening thing, because they had no idea what kind of dangers were lurking behind it. Slow down. Because they were afraid of the mysterious black hole, the evil spirits had no choice but to speak. Seeing the evil spirits slow down, Xiao Chen's eyes also locked onto the mysterious black hole. After hesitating for a bit, Xiao Chen quickly made a decision. He said to Long Qing and Xian Yuan Ling, "Charge in." "What?" Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Long Qing and Xian Yuan Ling coldly said, "Charge in. This is our only chance of survival." Hearing this, Xiao Chun said in a deep voice. Although Xiao Chun also felt the danger of this mysterious black hole, facing the evil spirit's pursuit, Xiao Chun had no other choice. This was their only chance of survival. Even though Xiao Chun didn't know how big this chance was, compared to being caught by the evil spirits, there was definitely a chance of survival. Although this chance of survival was very small and might not even exist, Xiao Chun could only give it a try. Begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 24:19. Facing the relentless pursuit of the evil spirits, Xiao Chun felt that the mysterious black hole in front of him was their only chance. Facing the relentless pursuit of the evil spirits, Xiao Chun felt that the mysterious black hole in front of him was their only chance. Although it was also hard to say whether they would survive or not, at least there was still a chance. If they stayed and were caught by the evil spirits, they would definitely die. Therefore, Xiao Chun couldn't help but shout at this time. Hearing Xiao Chun shout, Long Qing and Xian Yuan Ling were stunned. Then, they both gritted their teeth and immediately stopped controlling the spatial spirit boat, allowing the powerful suction force of the mysterious black hole to suck the spatial spirit boat in. Seeing that Xiao Chun and the other's spatial spirit boat was directly sucked into the mysterious black hole, evil spirits' face darkened. "Are you going to burn your boats? Xiao Chun, do you really think that this will give you a chance of survival?" The evil spirits had no way to stop Xiao Chun and the others. Because of the mysterious black hole, the evil spirits didn't dare to go near it. Therefore, they could only watch as Xiao Chun and the others were sucked into the black hole and disappeared. In the end, they couldn't kill Xiao Chun with their own hands. However, the evil spirits also knew that this was Xiao Chun's gamble. He gambled on the chance that there was a chance in mysterious black hole. Regarding this, the evil spirits were a little depressed, but there was nothing they could do. At the same time, Purple Snake and Chi Mei also came to the deck. Looking at the mysterious black hole in front of them, the two of them said with a somewhat ugly expression, "What do we do now? Let's go back. Even Father can't see through the mysterious black hole. What can we do?" Moreover, Xiao Chun and the others will most likely die after entering the mysterious black hole. Hearing this, the evil spirits said indifferently. The evil spirits didn't expect this outcome. On the other hand, Xiao Chun and the others who were sucked into the mysterious black hole suddenly felt an endless pressure all around them. The pressure not only suppressed everyone's physical bodies, but also intimidated everyone's souls. They even became dazed, and their eyelids became abnormally heavy. Even Xiao Chun could not resist for long. His vision turned black, and he fainted. No one knew what kind of mysterious black hole it was. Xiao Chun and his group could be said to be the only people in the great wide world who had entered the mysterious black hole. However, at this moment, Xiao Chun and the others naturally did not know what was happening in the mysterious black hole. Under the powerful pressure of the black hole, everyone fainted. As for the spatial spirit ship that everyone was riding at this moment, it was like a small boat in the ocean, floating in the huge waves. They didn't know where its destination was, nor did they know where this mysterious black hole would take them. Everything could only depend on God's will. Even Xiao Chun was powerless to change anything at this time. While Xiao Chun and the others rushed into the mysterious black hole, the evil spirits and the others had no choice but to give up. On the main battlefield, according to the discussion of the sovereigns, they were constantly pressuring the evil way. It could be said that the battle could break out at any time. In the face of the constant pressure from the great wide world, the evil way could only fight and retreat in order to wear down the great wide world's edge. Jun Wuya and Tenzu sat facing each other, drinking tea in front of them. At this time, Tenzu sighed softly and said, "It's been 2 days, right?" Hearing Tenzu's words, Jun Wuya nodded slightly. It had indeed been 2 days, but there was still no movement from the evil way's side. The evil spirits and the others also showed no signs of retreating. This made Jun Wuya worried. Facing such great pressure, Xie Tian still didn't want the evil spirits and the others to retreat. It seemed like he was determined to kill Xiao Chun and the others. Thinking of the current situation of Xiao Chun and the others, Jun Wuya couldn't help secretly knitting his brows. However, at this time, Tenzu said something that made Jun Wuya even more shocked. Actually, the Heaven Awakened world is not an ordinary small world. It can be said that it is the gateway to the great wide world. Tenzu slowly drank a mouthful of tea and said in a soft voice, "Gateway?" Upon hearing the heavenly ancestor's words, Jun Wuya seemed to have thought of something all of a sudden. His expression changed drastically. "You mean?" Jun Wuya obviously knew some secrets, but this wasn't strange. After all, Jun Wuya's strength was obvious. In the entire great wide world, there were very few things that Jun Wuya didn't know. At the same time, there were also very few things that could make Jun Wuya this shocked. Seeing Jun Wuya's ugly expression, Tenzu shook his head helplessly and said with a bitter smile, "It seems like you also know. In fact, I've been very worried that the Heaven Awakened world has fallen into the hands of the evil way. After all, the Heaven Awakened world is too crucial. But now that Xiao Chun and the others are in the Heaven Awakened world, I'm worried that you're worried that they will pass through the mysterious black hole?" Upon hearing his words, Jun Wuya interrupted Tenzu before he could finish his sentence. His expression turned incomparably solemn. Jun Wuya and Tenzu both mentioned the mysterious black hole. Besides, they seemed to have guessed whether Xiao Chun and the others would enter the mysterious black hole directly. If that was the case, it would be really dangerous. Jun Wuya didn't know what the mysterious black hole represented, because even with his strength, he couldn't detect anything about it. However, with the help of the Heaven Awakened world, Tenzu knew more about the mysterious black hole. That was why Tenzu called it the gateway. Of course, Tenzu didn't tell anyone about this because to Tenzu, it was like a Pandora's box. Once it was opened, the consequences would be unimaginable. Tenzu and Jun Wuya talked about the mysterious black hole at the same time. At the same time, Xiao Chun and the others drifted in the mysterious black hole for an unknown period of time. Finally, they left the mysterious black hole and appeared in an endless starry sky. there was still a huge, mysterious black hole in front of Xiao Chun and the others. This should be the other exit of the mysterious black hole. However, Xiao Chun and the others were completely unaware of this because they were all unconscious. Because no one was controlling the spatial spirit ship, it drifted with the waves in the endless heart. No one knew where it would go in the next second. Time seemed to have completely stopped in this endless starry sky. No one knew how much time had passed. 1 day, 2 days, 1 month, 2 months. As time slowly passed, Xiao Chun, who was in a coma, finally opened his eyes slowly. At first, he was a little confused. However, after quickly recovering, Xiao Chun looked at the endless starry sky and sighed in his heart. It seems that it's a success. He was fine. After checking on Gu Lingyao and the other 2 girls, as well as Long Qing, Xin Yuanling, Li Ku, and the others, Xiao Chun found that everyone was fine. They were just in a coma. This made Xiao Chun calm down a little. He had finally escaped a disaster. However, he didn't know where everyone was now. Please add me to your collection. Monthly vote. Recommend me. End of chapter. Chapter 2420. After escaping death, Xiao Chun moved Gu Lingyao, Long Qing, Xin Yuanling, and the others into the cabin. After feeding them ammunition, Xiao Chun went to the deck and looked around. After escaping death, Xiao Chun moved Gu Lingyao, Long Qing, Xin Yuanling, and the others into the cabin. After feeding them ammunition, Xiao Chun went to the deck and looked around. Although it was extremely dangerous, Xiao Chun had made the right bet. The mysterious black hole had given them a chance to survive. In Xiao Chun's opinion, as long as they were not dead, there was still hope. After all, only by surviving would there be infinite possibilities. However, the most important thing now was to figure out where everyone was now. There was an endless starry sky, and the mysterious black hole had long disappeared. Xiao Chun had no direction. After all, Xiao Chun did not even know where he was now. Helpless, Xiao Chun steered the spatial spirit boat in a direction to avoid it. He planned to find a continent to check out and confirm where he was before making any plans. While Xiao Chun steered the spatial spirit boat, 3 days later, Long Qing, Xin Yuanling, and the others woke up one after another. After everyone woke up, they all asked where they were. Regarding this, Xiao Chun could only tell them that he did not know. Third brother, did we come to another small thousand world through the spatial black hole? Standing on the deck with Xiao Chun, Xin Yuanling guessed that it had been 3 days, but they still did not see any continents. During these 3 days, Xiao Chun had been moving in one direction. No matter what, they should have at least encountered a continent. At the very least, they should have met someone who was also traveling in the starry sky. However, it was a pity that Xiao Chun and the others did not even see a shadow in these 3 days. Xin Yuanling also guessed that they had come to an unknown, small thousand world through the mysterious black hole. Hearing Xin Yuanling's words, Xiao Chun did not answer because he was not sure. However, just as the two were talking, Long Qing shouted excitedly in the cabin, "Little brother, Ling Yao and the others have woken up." Gu Lingyao and the other 2 had the weakest cultivation among everyone, so naturally they were the last to wake up. Hearing Long Qing's words, Xiao Chun was also happy and hurried into the cabin. Seeing that Gu Lingyao and the other 2 had woken up, Xiao Chun was also relieved. He then smiled and asked, "How are you? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" "Husband, don't worry. We're all fine." Hearing this, Gu Lingyao and the other 2 smiled and said. After personally checking the bodies of Gu Lingyao and the other 2, Xiao Chun was finally relieved after confirming that they were fine. The 3 of them naturally asked Xiao Chun about what had happened. In this regard, Xiao Chun could only tell the 3 of them the truth. The mysterious black hole had indeed saved their lives, but now, Xiao Chun did not know where they had appeared. Seeing that Xiao Chun's face was a little solemn when he talked about the current situation, Tianyu also smiled and comforted him. "Husband, it's already a great fortune to be alive. Anyway, as long as we're alive, there will be a day when we can return to the great thousand world." Tianyu comforted him. In this regard, Gu Lingyao and Hong Xiu naturally agreed. Hearing the three of them, Xiao Chen also smiled and said, "Yes, you're right. We're lucky enough to be alive. As for where we are, there's no need to worry about it." As long as they were alive, there was hope for them to return to the Great Thousand World. After chatting with the three of them for a while, Xiao Chen returned to the deck again. Although Xiao Chen's mood had improved a lot with the awakening of Guling Yao and the other two, he still did not dare to let his guard down. This was because everything around him was too unfamiliar, so Xiao Chen did not dare to be careless. After traveling for another half a month, a continent finally appeared in front of Xiao Chen and the rest. They could not see the end of the continent at a glance. Xiao Chen did not hesitate at all and immediately let Xin Yuan Ling land on this continent. The most important thing now was to find out where they were. The spatial spirit boat slowly landed in an uninhabited mountain range on this continent. After keeping the spatial spirit boat, Xiao Chen and the rest immediately left the mountain range. This time, Xiao Chen and the rest were lucky. As soon as they left the mountain range, they saw a town. Although the area was not big, they finally saw people. As long as they knew where this place was, Xiao Chen and the rest could plan to return to the Great Thousand World. Walking toward the town, Xiao Chen and the rest smoothly entered the city. After all, this was just a Xiao Chen, so the management was naturally very lax. There was also no such thing as an entrance fee. After entering the city, Xiao Chen saw a few soldiers who were in charge of guarding the city gate. Although they were called soldiers, they were actually a few old men. To put it bluntly, they were just old and weak soldiers. Xiao Chen stepped forward and asked politely, "Elders, I'd like to ask where this place is." Upon hearing Xiao Chen's question, the few old men were stunned. Then they said flatly, "This is the Lin country, Wanshan City." "Why? You don't even know where this place is?" Upon hearing this, the few old men sized up Xiao Chen and the rest suspiciously. Speaking of which, Xiao Chen and the rest looked rather noble and were dressed in extraordinary clothes. At a glance, one could tell that they were not ordinary people. This was also the reason why the few old men patiently answered Xiao Chen's question. However, after hearing their words, Xiao Chen and the rest were completely stunned. The Lin country, Wanshan City? Where's this place? I've never heard of it. For a moment, Xiao Chen and the rest thought that they must have been transported to a small thousand world. Immediately, Xiao Chen took out a spirit stone and handed it to the few old men. Then he asked, "Elders, what is the name of this continent that we're heading to? And this world?" The Lin country and Wanshan City were obviously not enough for Xiao Chen to know where this place was. However, in response to Xiao Chen's question, the few old men were stunned. They had never stepped out of the Lin country in their entire lives, so how would they know what this continent was called? There was no world yet, so these few old men had no idea at all. It was like asking an ant what the world was. Would it be able to answer you? However, when they saw the spirit stone that Xiao Chen handed over, they were stunned. Then, they said excitedly, "A spirit stone?" Apparently, in the old men's eyes, the spirit stone in Xiao Chen's hand was called a spirit stone. However, while they were shocked, a fat monk in a monk's robe appeared before them. He put his palms together and said solemnly to Xiao Chen, "Benefactor, this poor monk can see the dark aura on your face. I'm afraid that a bloody disaster will befall you in the near future. This poor monk is a monk. Since we're fated to meet, I naturally won't stand idly by. This is a Buddha bead that this poor monk personally consecrates. It will ensure that you survive this calamity. Amitabha. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendation." Chapter 24-21. Xiao Chen and the rest were taken aback by the sudden appearance of the monk. However, they didn't think too much about the monk's solemn expression. On the other hand, Xiao Chen returned the greeting. "Master, thank you for your kind intentions," but with Xiao Chen's eyesight, it wasn't difficult for him to see that the string of Buddhist beads in the monk's hand was something that could be found anywhere on the streets. As for the consecration mentioned by the monk, Xiao Chen didn't believe in it at all. Xiao Chen wanted to reject the monk, but before Xiao Chen finished his sentence, the monk interrupted. "Amitabha, benefactor, This poor monk has the intention to help you. I hope you won't reject my offer. You don't even have the right to reject." When the monk said that, there wasn't the slightest change in his expression. He indeed looked like a highly respected senior monk. However, when the monk stopped Xiao Chun and the rest, some of the people around the city gate began to whisper among themselves. "It's that flowery monk again. These outsiders are doomed. I reckon they're going to be blackmailed by him again. That's right. Sigh, which temple did this damned flowery monk come from? He's really repulsive." It was obvious that there were quite a few people who knew this monk in this small myriad mountain city. However, every time the monk was mentioned, everyone's eyes would uncontrollably reveal a trace of hatred. It was obvious that the monk's reputation was not good. Logically speaking, since he was a monk, he shouldn't be hated by so many people. However, the expressions of the people around didn't seem to be fake, especially the hatred in their eyes. However, the monk wasn't bothered at all. He stuffed the Buddhist beads into Xiao Chen's hand and put his palms together. "Ba, benefactor, please accept it." The monk forcefully stuffed the Buddhist beads into Xiao Chen's hand. Regarding this, Xiao Chen was extremely helpless. This was indeed a string of the most ordinary Buddhist beads. What use was there for it? However, Xiao Chen wasn't in the mood to argue with the monk. After casually defeating the Buddha, Xiao Chen prepared to leave. He still needed to find out where he was as soon as possible. However, Xiao Chen wanted to leave. However, Tyrant did not allow him to do so. He took a step forward and blocked the path of Xiao Chen and the others. Seeing this, Xiao Chen frowned. His expression gradually turned cold as he looked at Tyrant. In the face of Xiao Chen's gradually darkening face, the monk acted as if he did not see it. He said with the appearance of an eminent monk, "Benefactor, you are merciful. This poor monk will help you pass through this tribulation peacefully. I hope that benefactor can remember Buddha's mercy and donate some money." This monk wants money? Upon hearing this, not only Xiao Chun, but even Long Qing and Xin Yuanling's expressions turned unfriendly. After saying so much, how could they not understand that this **T monk was here for money right from the start? Gu Lingyao said snappily, "Hey, didn't you say that you are a monk? Monks are particular about not having anything in their sleeves." Gu Lingyao was about to berate Tyrant, but before he finished his sentence, Xiao Chun interrupted him. "Master, please accept this small token of my respect." Xiao Chun was actually a little unhappy. However, he was unfamiliar with this place, and Xiao Chun didn't want to stir up trouble. Besides, his intuition told him that this monk wasn't simple. Therefore, Xiao Chun retrieved some gold coins from his storage ring and handed them to the monk. A few gold coins were nothing to Xiao Chun. Besides, Xiao Chun basically didn't need gold coins now. However, the monk didn't even look at the gold coins that Xiao Chun handed over. His eyes were still closed as he said slowly, "Ba, this poor monk won't accept these worldly things. Benefactor, it's better for you to give his poor monk some spirit stones." Originally, they thought that this monk had changed his style or that they had misjudged him. However, after hearing this, they realized that this monk was definitely not a good person. He didn't want gold coins, but he wanted spirit stones. Moreover, his appetite was **king big. Immediately, Long Qing couldn't help but shout, "Monk, don't push your luck. Get out of the way." They were no longer in the mood to continue arguing with this crazy monk. From the beginning until now, how could they not see that this monk was here for spirit stones from the beginning? In the face of the current situation, the surrounding people didn't seem to find it strange. Each of them revealed a natural expression. It seemed that this wasn't the first time this monk had done such things in Wanshan City. Everyone was completely used to it. Xiao Chen looked coldly at the monk. His tone also became extremely cold as he said, "Master, we have no intention of instigating enmity with you. I hope that you won't make a mistake." After saying that, Xiao Chun prepared to leave in a flash. It was absolutely impossible for him to give the monk spirit stones. Although a few spirit stones were nothing to Xiao Chun was very disgusted by the monk's swindling methods. Therefore, he didn't have the slightest good impression of the monk. If it wasn't for the fact that Xiao Chun had more important things to do, Xiao Chun would probably have directly taught this crazy monk a lesson. Not in the mood to argue with the monk, Xiao Chun only wanted to enter the city as soon as possible and find out where this place was. However, just as Xiao Chun passed by the monk, he heard the monk murmur softly without changing his expression, Amit Ba, my Buddha is merciful. Benefactor, a bloody disaster has already arrived. After saying that, Xiao Chun suddenly felt an extreme sense of danger coming from the monk. The fat monk, who originally looked very ordinary, now gave Xiao Chun an extreme sense of oppression. Moreover, before Xiao Chun could react, an invisible force directly hit Xiao Chun's abdomen without any movement from the monk. The blood in his body surged, and Xiao Chun couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Seeing Xiao Chun spit out a mouthful of blood, Long Qing, Xin Yuanling, and the others at the side glared angrily. They didn't need to think to know that all of this was the monk's doing. Glaring angrily at the fat monk with a solemn expression, Long Qing shouted coldly, "Monk, you're courting death." No one saw the monk make a move, but all of this was definitely related to the monk. Everyone's eyes were locked on the monk, and so was Xiao Chun. However, in Xiao Chun's eyes, there was a trace of shock. Xiao Chun had been on guard just now, but it was useless. The monk had easily wounded him. Moreover, Xiao Chun felt a power that he had never felt before from the monk. He had never felt this kind of power, even from the venerable sovereigns. The only thing that was similar to it was his master, Jun Wuya, who seemed to have shown this kind of power before. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendation. Chapter 24-22. Xiao Chun looked solemnly at the monk. Facing Xiao Chun's gaze, the monk still looked solemn, as if he was not the one who had attacked just now. Xiao Chun looked solemnly at the monk. Facing Xiao Chun's gaze, the monk still looked solemn, as if he was not the one who had attacked just now. However, Xiao Chun did not make a move, but Long Qing could not hold it in any longer. He threw out a punch, and then a loud dragon roar resounded. Seeing that Long Qing was so angry that he attacked, Xiao Chun wanted to stop him, but it was too late. Judging from a monk's methods and aura, Xiao Chun already knew that this fat monk was definitely not simple. Moreover, Xiao Chun had not been able to see through the monk's cultivation until now. Logically speaking, with Xiao Chun's current strength, he could even see through the cultivation of a venerable emperor. However, Xiao Chun could not see through this monk at all. He wanted to stop Long Qing, but he did not make it in time. At the same time, facing Long Qing's angry punch, the monk was not moved at all. He put his palms together and whispered, Amit Ba, Buddha is merciful. Following the monk's words, a golden light shot up into the sky behind him. At the same time, the shadow of a Buddha slowly appeared. For a moment, the monk really gave people the feeling that Buddha was alive. The golden light was very gentle. It had to be said that the monk in front of them cultivated the purest Buddhist cultivation method. It was magnificent and righteous, without the slightest sense of evil. At the same time, with the appearance of the golden light, Long Qing was directly sent flying. Facing such an outcome, Xiao Chun and the others were stunned. The crowd were all able to tell that Long Qing had not held back in the slightest in his earlier punch. However, even with that being the case, Long Qing was unable to even touch the corner of the fat monk's clothes. From this, it could be seen that the fat monk's strength was definitely extraordinary. However, this fat monk clearly did not have the intention to kill. He did not severely injure Long Qing either. All he did was send Long Qing flying. Standing up, Long Qing looked at the fat monk in front of him with fear. His eyes were solemn. At this moment, the fat monk retracted his aura and became squared again. I never expected to meet an ancestral dragon. Amit Ba, the fat monk said as he glanced at Long Qing. Clearly, he had seen through Long Qing's identity and pointed out that Long Qing had the ancestral dragon bloodline. The fat monk's strength made everyone feel as if they were facing a great enemy. They couldn't help but feel nervous. Each and every one of them looked at the fat monk with fear. Who would have thought that they would meet such an expert in such a small city? Although they did not know the specific cultivation of the fat monk, in the eyes of the crowd, the fat monk was like a boundless and bottomless sea. It was impossible to measure. Fortunately, the fat monk did not intend to continue attacking. Instead, he looked at Xiao Chun and said with a smile, "Benefactor, this poor monk has resolved your bloody disaster. My Buddha is merciful. I hope that benefactor can give me some money." The fat monk said again. Hearing this, Xiao Chun did not hesitate. He directly took out 10 top-grade spiritual stones and handed them to the fat monk. In response, the fat monk accepted them with a smile and then left with a smile. This guy is not a good person. How can he be a monk? He stinks of money. Seeing the fat monk leave, Gu Lingyao pouted and said unhappily. Gu Lingyao was obviously very unhappy with the fat monk. In Gu Lingyao's opinion, the fat monk was not a good person. However, in response, Xiao Chun just smiled and did not say anything. He directly led the crowd into the city. Xiao Chun was not angry at this strange monk because the fat monk did not try to kill him. Moreover, the fat monk was not weak. Xiao Chun could not see through the fat monk's cultivation. If they really fought, the crowd would not be a match for the fat monk. The fat monk did not use his strength to rob them. He just took the 10 spiritual stones and left. In Xiao Chun's opinion, with the fat monk's strength, 10 spiritual stones were probably nothing. It could only be said that the fat monk's personality was a little strange. However, Xiao Chun had just arrived in this world, and he had already met such a strange and powerful monk. Xiao Chun could not help but frown. He wondered in his heart, was this really a small world? If it was a small world, how could there be such a master? Although he was not sure, Xiao Chun was 80% sure that the fat monk's cultivation had surpassed the emperor realm. It had reached a level that Xiao Chun and the others had never heard of. He was probably much stronger than Jun Wuya and Xie Tian. How could a world with such a powerhouse be a lesser thousand world? Xiao Chun could not help but feel suspicious. Although there were some twists and turns, the crowd entered the city without any major hindrances. They first strolled around the city. Of course, Xiao Chun and the others also asked some people on the roadside, but the answers they received were more or less the same. Many people only knew that this was the Lin country's myriad mountain city. They could not answer Xiao Chun's question. After all, it was difficult for these ordinary people to answer where this place was. For ordinary people, it was already good to be able to leave the Lin country in their lifetime. Many people had not even left Myriad Mountain City in their lifetime. Therefore, they naturally knew nothing about the outside world. Somewhat helpless, in the end, Xiao Chun and the others came to the largest restaurant in Myriad Mountain City. If they wanted to inquire about information, the best place was naturally a restaurant. If they could not find the answer Xiao Chun wanted here, then they would have to go to a bigger city. As soon as they entered the restaurant, a waiter quickly came up to them. Seeing that Xiao Chun and the others had an extraordinary bearing, the waiter greeted them with a flattering smile. "Dear guests, please come in." With that, the waiter led Xiao Chun and the others into the restaurant. The first floor was the hall, which was very noisy. Xiao Chun and the others really came to inquire about information, so they did not ask for a private room and directly found a seat in the hall. However, it was really a coincidence. Just as Xiao Chun and the others were sitting down, another guest came in from outside the door. At a glance, it was actually the fat monk who was at the city gate previously. However, at this time, there were two scantily clad young girls beside the fat monk. At a glance, they looked like prostitutes. It was a very strange scene. A monk who was wearing a monk's robe and looked like an eminent monk at first glance was holding a beautiful young girl in one arm. There was a lecherous smile on his face, and his hands were dirty and clumsy. How was he like a monk? He was even more exaggerated than a hooligan. Furthermore, from the monk's expression, it wasn't hard to tell that he was definitely an old hand in this area. Not to mention, under his hands, the two girls' faces were already flushed red. They were constantly exhaling and laughing at the monk's chubby cheeks. Seeking collection, monthly votes, recommendations. Chapter 24-23. A fat monk walked into the restaurant with two prostitutes in his arms. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. However, many of them quickly recognized the monk and whispered among themselves, "It's that lecherous monk again." A fat monk walked into the restaurant with two prostitutes in his arms. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. However, many of them quickly recognized the monk and whispered among themselves, "It's that lecherous monk again." It was obvious that many of the people present knew this monk. At the same time, Gu Lingyao's expression darkened when she saw the monk. She cursed, "It's this damn monk again. Why is he always haunting us?" When Xiao Chun and his group saw the monk naturally saw Xiao Chun and his group as well. A smile immediately appeared on his face, and he took the initiative to walk towards Xiao Chun and his group. The coldness in Gu Lingyao's eyes grew stronger as she watched the monk walk toward them. However, the monk acted as if he did not see it. He walked past the restriction and came to the table where Xiao Chun and the others were sitting. He then sat down very naturally, not treating himself as an outsider at all. "Amitabha, benefactor, it seems that you and I are fated to meet. My Buddha is merciful," the monk said with a smile as he carried a woman in his arms. When Gu Lingyao heard his words, he immediately shouted in dissatisfaction, "If Buddha sees you like this, he will probably chop you up with his blade." A monk and a monk. Both of them were carrying beauties in their arms and were saying Amitabha. Wasn't this a joke? Even Xiao Chun and his group had a strange expression on their faces. It was indeed the first time that Xiao Chun and his group had seen such an eccentric monk. The monk did not seem to care about the gazes of Xiao Chun and his group. He continued to tease the two women beside him as he ate and drank to his heart's content. It was obvious that he did not treat himself as an outsider. Everyone was naturally dissatisfied with the monk's attitude. However, Xiao Chun was an exception. After seeing the monk twice in a row, Xiao Chun could not help but feel curious about him. The monk was definitely not an ordinary person. Furthermore, he did not harbor evil intentions. It was just that his mood was a little strange. With this thought in mind, Xiao Chun took the initiative to speak. "Great Master, I have a question that I would like to ask. Since the monk's cultivation was extraordinary, he should know where this place was." Therefore, Xiao Chun directly asked. When the monk heard Xiao Chun's question, a smile flashed across his eyes. Without waiting for Xiao Chun to ask, the monk took the lead and spoke first. "You want to know where this place is?" Xiao Chun nodded and admitted, "Indeed. Thank you for enlightening me, Grandmaster." Xiao Chun and Xiao Chun. Xiao. He had never felt like this before. Facing the monk's gaze, Xiao Chun felt as though all his secrets were about to be seen through. He could not hide them at all. He felt as though he was naked in front of everyone. But soon, the monk retracted his gaze. At the same time, he chuckled and said, "I advise you to give up on the thought in your heart. That black hole is one way. It's easy to come in, but difficult to go back." Although he did not answer the question, when they heard the monk's words, not only Xiao Chun, but also Long Qing, Xin Yuan Ling, and the others' expressions changed drastically. They looked at the monk in unison and asked, "Who exactly are you?" The monk's words made everyone's heart sink. How did he know all this? Moreover, according to the monk's words, could it be that they could not go back? Facing everyone's gazes, the monk smiled and said, "Me? I'm just a monk. Ha!" As he said that, he kissed the face of the woman beside him. His greasy mouth stained the woman's face. However, the monk did not care at all. Instead, he laughed loudly. "Aya, you're so naughty." The woman was embarrassed by the monk. Looking at the monk's appearance, everyone's faces were filled with black lines. Only Xiao Chun became more and more curious and asked. The monk gave Xiao Chun an extraordinary feeling. In addition to his words just now, it seemed that the monk had already guessed their situation. Therefore, he advised Xiao Chun to give up. Xiao Chun continued to ask unwillingly. However, no matter how much Xiao Chun asked, the monk kept evading the topic. Moreover, from time to time, he would say some dirty words to the two women, causing Gu Lingyao, Tianyue, and Hongxiu to look at him with disdain. Of course, the monk naturally sized up Gu Lingyao and the other two women. Under the influence of the alcohol, he even shook his head and said, "TSK, TSK, TSK, you three little girls. Not bad, not bad. You're almost comparable to my palace master's wife." The lecherous look in his eyes made Gu Lingyao and the other two women clench their teeth. They could not wait to tear this lecherous monk apart on the spot. However, Xiao Chun was keenly aware that although the monk looked lecherous, he deliberately turned his face when he looked at Gu Lingyao and the other two women. At least in the depths of his eyes, the monk's gaze was clear. Just as everyone was drinking on the other side, the city lord's mansion of Wanshan City was in an uproar. No one knew when a Taoist priest had appeared in the city lord's mansion. Moreover, he had kidnapped the concubine of the city lord's mansion of Wanshan City. In the main hall of the city lord's mansion, the city lord of Wanshan City, Yin He, sat on the main seat with a gloomy face. He had just brought his concubine back to the mansion 3 days ago. Her appearance was definitely outstanding. However, who would have thought that she would be kidnapped before he even had a chance to taste her? Moreover, it was in broad daylight. Idiots, a bunch of trash. There's so many of you, and you actually let a stinky Taoist priest kidnap her right in front of your eyes? And he scolded furiously as he looked at the guards of the city lord's mansion who were kneeling on the ground. This concubine was originally an ordinary girl from a village near Wanshan City. However, she was indeed exceptionally beautiful, and he had only met this girl by chance. With just one look, and he was completely infatuated. Subsequently, he used some underhanded means to kill the girl's parents. Then, he forcefully brought the girl back to Wanshan City and made her his concubine. She was originally a duck on the chopping board, a piece of fatty meat that was about to reach his mouth. However, who would have thought that a stinky Taoist priest would appear out of nowhere and kidnap the girl in broad daylight? After being scolded by Yan He, the guards of the city lord's mansion lowered their heads and did not dare to show the slightest bit of dissatisfaction. After venting his anger, Yan He's mood calmed down a little. Then, he shouted in a deep voice, "Seal the city and find them. Even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground, you must find that stinky Taoist priest and the little beauty for me. I want to see who exactly dares to provoke me." Hearing Yan He's words, everyone in the hall responded respectfully. Yes, begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 24-24. His new concubine had been kidnapped by a stinky Taoist. As the governor of Wanshan City, Yan He naturally wouldn't let it go so easily. He immediately gave the order to seal the city. No matter what, he had to find that stinky Taoist. After Yan He gave the order to seal the city, the entire Wanshan City was quickly sealed off. These guys even activated the city protection array. It could be said that they were mighty. Hearing this, many people had a premonition that something big was about to happen. However, Xiao Chun and the others who were in the restaurant were completely unaware of it. After drinking and chatting, Xiao Chun and the monk gradually became familiar with each other. Putting aside the monk's strange temperament, Xiao Chun felt that he was a good guy. He had a straightforward personality. Although what he did wasn't what a monk should do, it had nothing to do with Xiao Chun. However, the only thing that Xiao Chun felt was a pity was that no matter how many questions he asked about this world, the monk would only answer him with a smile and never give him a direct answer. This made Xiao Chun feel extremely helpless. Just as everyone was drinking and chatting, and the monk was hugging women, another Taoist walked in from outside the door. Beside him was a beautiful young girl. Looking at the Taoist priest's boot-licking appearance, everyone felt as if their worldview had been destroyed. What was going on today? A monk was still hugging girls, and now a Taoist priest had appeared. Furthermore, he was licking the girl's boot-licking appearance. Facing this, the girl appeared to be somewhat fearful. It looked like a lecherous Taoist who had abducted and sold a good woman. However, the Taoist priest did not pay any attention to the gazes of the surrounding people. His gaze quickly locked onto the monk, and he strode over. As he walked, he shouted, "Stinky monk, you're F***king delicious." He scolded unhappily. Hearing this, Xiao Chun and the others also looked over. They saw a Taoist who was wearing a Taoist robe and had a body shape that was completely opposite of a monk. He strode over. The fat monk and the skinny Taoist priest. How should one put it? Indeed, there was an indescribable feeling when these two fellows were together. Furthermore, there was a young lady following behind the Taoist. When they reached the table, the Taoist pulled out a chair for himself, just like the monk. Then he said to the young lady behind him in a flattering manner, "Little beauty, come and cook. Eat something. Don't worry, with this Taoist master here, everything will be fine." Looking at the Taoist priest's flattering smile, Xiao Chun and the others were speechless. What kind of weirdo was this? Compared to the helplessness of Xiao Chun and the others, Tyrant said nonchalantly, "These are my new friends. That's Xiao Chun. He's a nice guy. Haha." After a round of introductions, the monk turned his gaze to the young girl beside the Taoist priest. He frowned and said, "I say, are you crazy? You even want to mess with a woman from her maiden family?" The monk's meaning was obvious. He thought that the Taoist priest had forcefully abducted a woman from a good family. However, the Taoist priest did not hold back and directly scolded, "Bullsh**T. This Taoist master is just helping out when he sees injustice." Then, the Taoist priest briefly told the story of a young lady. He learned that the young lady's name was Chun Yen'er. She was the new concubine of the Wanshan city's lord, Yan He. Hearing about Chun Yen'er's experience, Gu Lingyao and the other two were naturally filled with righteous indignation. After all, Yan He's actions were indeed worse than a beast. Taking a fancy to her beauty, he wanted to kill her parents. What kind of logic was this? He was worse than a beast. Sympathizing with Chun Yen'er's experience, Gu Lingyao and the other two took the initiative to chat with Chun Yen'er out of kindness. Perhaps because they were all women, Chun Yen'er was obviously not so hostile towards Gu Lingyao and the other two. Therefore, the four women began to chat after a short while. When the Taoist priest saw Chun Yen'er and Gu Lingyao chatting happily, a smile flashed across his eyes. Although the Taoist priest had always shown a lustful look towards Chun Yen'er, it seemed that he was no different from Yang Song. He also coveted Chun Yen'er's beauty. However, along the way, the Taoist priest had never forced Chun Yen'er to do anything, nor did he do anything to Chun Yen'er. Therefore, in the Taoist priest's heart, his purpose was actually very simple. He wanted to save Chun Yen'er. As for his behavior, it could be said that the Taoist priest deliberately pretended to be lustful, or it could be said that it was his nature. However, although the Taoist priest was lustful, he also knew that a gentleman's desire for money was justified. Obviously, he would not do something worse than a beast like Yan He. He minded his own business and drank wine. He even rudely snatched a woman from the monk and held her in his arms. Looking at the monk and the Taoist priest in front of him, Xiao Chun really admired these two people. Even with such a character, they were actually monks. The monk and the Taoist priest were having fun. However, this happy moment did not last long. Soon, Yan He found the Taoist priest's whereabouts. After knowing that the Taoist priest had kidnapped his concubine, not only did he not run away, but he actually swaggered to the largest restaurant in Wanshan City to have fun. Knowing this, Yan He was so angry that smoke was coming out of his 7 orifices. He immediately brought his men and hurried to the restaurant. With a gloomy face, Yan He strode into the restaurant and saw the monk and the Taoist priest with a lewd smile. Seeing that the two of them were drinking and having fun as if nothing had happened, the veins on Yan He's forehead bulged. He angrily shouted, "What a reckless and stupid Taoist priest!" Following Yan He's scolding, the Taoist priest turned his head and saw Yan He a glance. He immediately got up and flicked the horsetail whisk in his hand. With a righteous face, he said, "Immeasurable deity, what business does this benefactor have with this humble Taoist?" The speed of this exchange was comparable to flipping a book. However, Yan He was completely furious. What business? Damn it, this stupid Taoist priest had kidnapped his concubine, and now he actually pretended not to know him. He even asked him what business he had with him. He had seen thick-skinned people before, but he had never seen such a thick-skinned person. And he clenched his fists until they made cracking sounds. His face was as black as the bottom of a pot as he said, "Stupid Taoist priest, you kidnapped my concubine, and now you're still putting on an act. Do you think you can fool me like this?" Hearing Yan He's words, the Taoist priest's face instantly revealed a trace of doubt. That expression was simply worthy of being called an award-winning actor. It was as if he really did not know Yan He. Not only that, the Taoist priest's next sentence stunned Yan He, Xiao Chun, and the rest. Immeasurable deity, this benefactor must be joking. This humble monk is a monk. How could I kidnap someone's concubine? Could it be that this benefactor has mistaken me for someone else? Bullshit. If that's the case, then who is the young lady sitting beside you? You're serious without any evidence. Stupid Taoist priest, you still want to quibble? Yan He angrily scolded. In response, he pointed at Xiao Chun and the rest unhurriedly and said without changing his expression, "This young lady is with these benefactors. This humble Taoist does not know her. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations." Chapter 24-25. Taoist priest pointed at Xiao Chun and the rest with an innocent face. Upon hearing his words, Xiao Chun and the rest were speechless. This guy changed his face too quickly. Furthermore, his acting skills were absolutely superb. Taoist priest pointed at Xiao Chun and the rest with an innocent face. Upon hearing his words, Xiao Chun and the rest were speechless. This guy changed his face too quickly. Furthermore, his acting skills were absolutely superb. Just a moment ago, he brought Chun Yinner in with a flattering face. Now that she was here, he said that he didn't know Chun Yinner. This, not only the Taoist priest, but even the monk beside him also said solemnly, "Umipa, benefactor, this poor monk is a monk. I don't get close to women." Huh? As soon as the monk said that, not only Yan He, but Xiao Chun and the rest were also taken aback. Don't get close to women? Then what were you hugging just now? A stone. And he was enraged by the monk and the Taoist priest. He immediately shouted, "Do you two think I'm a 3-year-old child? Enough nonsense. Hand her over. Otherwise, you won't be able to walk out of Wanshan City today." As he said that, Yan He also looked at Chun Yinner, who was terrified. However, when he saw Gu Lingyao and the other 2 girls beside Chun Yinner, Yan He was stunned. Then, his eyes suddenly revealed a fiery look. He thought that Chun Yinner was already a first-class beauty. He didn't expect that Gu Lingyao and the other 2 girls were even more beautiful than Chun Yinner. There was actually such a beautiful woman in the world. The look in his eyes became extremely fiery at this moment. Noticing the change in Yan He's eyes, Xiao Chen's eyes also revealed a trace of coldness. This Yan He was really bold. At the same time, under Yan He's gaze, Gu Lingyao and the other 2 girls' faces turned gloomy. In an instant, the Taoist priest, who was the initiator, stood aside and watched the show. TSK, there's indeed something wrong with this fellow's brain. He didn't even look at her strength and actually dare to have such thoughts. The Taoist priest curled his lips and looked at Yan He with a look of pity as he muttered. With Taoist priest cultivation, he had naturally seen through the cultivation of Xiao Chun and the others. With Xiao Chun's cultivation, killing Yan He was simply too easy. Not to mention that Yan He was just the city lord of a small Wanshan city. Even the royal family of the Lin Kingdom would not be a match for Xiao Chun and the others. Of course, the Taoist priest and the monk's cultivation were stronger. However, with their personalities, it was better for them not to fight if they could. She was happy to watch the show from the side. At this time, Yan He said recklessly, "Oh, there are 3 more beauties. Ha, not bad, not bad. Bring them back to my residence." His eyes never left Gu Lingyao and the other 2 girls. Hearing this, Tian Yu was the first to stand up and point at Yan He. Yan He's cultivation was at most equivalent to the immortal king realm. With such strength, he was simply too weak in front of Tian Yu. Facing Tian Yu's finger, Yin He, who was still daring in his lust a second ago, did not even have time to react in the next second. The finger light pierced through his forehead, and he died on the spot. Therefore, Yin He was really daring in his lust. In a situation where he did not know the strength of Xiao Chun and the others, he actually dared to have such thoughts. If this was not courting death, what was it? Seeing that Yin He was killed on the spot with just a finger, the guards of the city lord's residence who came with Yin He were all stunned. At this time, Tian Yu also shouted angrily, "Get lost." Hearing Tian Yu's words, these people did not dare to stay any longer. They immediately fled and did not even have time to take Yin He's body away. Yin He's matter was nothing to Xiao Chen's group, the monk, and the Taoist priest. At most, it was just a small interlude. After dealing with Yin He, everyone was almost done eating. At this time, the monk took the initiative to speak to Xiao Chun. "Brother Xiao Chun, what do you plan to do next?" The monk had been unwilling to tell Xiao Chun where this world was, and Xiao Chun was really helpless about it. At this time, hearing the monk's words, he did not hide his thoughts and said bluntly, "Find a way to go back." Xiao Chun was indeed looking for a way to return to the Great Thousand World. Xiao Chun did not know the current situation of the Great Thousand World. Moreover, the battle between the good and evil had not ended yet. Xiao Chun really did not have the heart to think about other things. However, after hearing Xiao Chun's answer, the monk shook his head and said, "Brother Xiao Chun, if I'm not wrong, you should have come to this world through the black hole, right?" After chatting with Xiao Chun, the monk already knew that Xiao Chun and the others were not from this world. Of course, Xiao Chun did not tell the monk about the Great Thousand World because the monk also did not tell him and the others about his origin. They had only met twice. Although they hit it off, Xiao Chun did not go so far as to tell everything to the monk. Hearing the monk's words, Xiao Chun did not answer, but he did not deny it either. Seeing this, the monk took a sip of wine and said, "Actually, the monk and I are the same. We are not from this world. Like you, the monk and I came to this world through the black hole. Moreover, I have already told you before that the black hole is not two-way, but one-way. It is not so easy to return to the world you came from," the monk said bluntly. Hearing this, Xiao Chun fell into silence. He did not think that the monk was lying to him because there was no need to. Whether it was the monk or the monk, Xiao Chun was sure that their strength was above his, even above Jun Wuya's. With a cultivation higher than Jun Wuya's, it was almost certain that they had surpassed the sovereign realm. There was no need for such an existence to lie to him. However, even though the monk said so, Xiao Chun still had no intention of giving up. The reason was very simple. He had to return to the Great Thousand World. Looking at the monk, Xiao Chun said faintly, "Master, I have a reason to go back." In a simple sentence, Xiao Chun gave his answer. In response, the monk said with a smile, "There is only one way to go. That is to get the consent of the world master of this world. Only then can you leave." "World master?" Hearing this, a hint of doubt flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. In the Great Thousand World, he had never heard of the world master. He only knew about Tenzu, but he had never heard of the world master. Not knowing what the world master meant, Xiao Chen asked, "Master, may I ask who the world master is?" Xiao Chen had indeed never heard of the world master. In this regard, the monk did not hide anything this time. He simply told Xiao Chen about the world master, begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 24-26. Xiao Chen didn't know anything about the World Lord because there was no World Lord in the boundless world. According to Tyrant, the World Lord was a person recognized by a world. To put it bluntly, it was an existence that the heavenly way submitted to. Xiao Chen didn't know anything about the World Lord because there was no World Lord in the boundless world. According to Tyrant, the World Lord was a person recognized by a world. To put it bluntly, it was an existence that the heavenly way submitted to. It was a simple explanation. Tyrant looked at Xiao Chun and said with a smile, "Brother Xiao Chun, the world you're from doesn't have a world lord yet, right?" "Yes." Xiao Chen nodded and did not try to hide anything. The boundless world indeed didn't have a world lord. According to Tyrant, the Tenzu of the boundless world hadn't chosen to submit to anyone, so naturally, there wasn't a world lord. In a world, the Tenzu was created by heaven and earth. It was responsible for setting the rules of the world and ensuring the normal operation of the world. The world lord could be said to be the protector of the world. Even the Tenzu had no choice but to submit to it. Of course, the world lord could only be born if the Tenzu chose to submit to it. Therefore, under normal circumstances, the world lord could be said to be the strongest person in the world, and its strength was above the Tenzu's. After talking about the world lord, Tyrant talked about this world. According to Tyrant, this world was called the primordial world. It was vast and boundless, and there were many powerful beings in it. After learning the name of this world, Xiao Chun asked curiously, Master, so you guys, Xiao Chun also realized that Tyrant and Taoist priest weren't from the primordial world. Tyrant didn't hide the truth. Oh, we're not from the primordial world. Just like you, we came from another world. Tyrant had no intention of hiding anything from Xiao Chun. He quickly told Xiao Chun that they had come from the outside world. Moreover, Tyrant and the others had come to the Hongmeng world for a different purpose than Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun and the others were being hunted down. They had no choice but to take the risk and come to the primordial world. As for the monk and the Taoist priest, they came to the primordial world of their own accord. According to Tyrant, there was also a black hole in their macro world. This black hole was connected to the Hongmeng world. Tyrant, Taoist, and the others came from a force called Cloud Palace. This time, they followed Cloud Palace's palace master to the Hongmeng world to understand this world. Of course, Cloud Palace's palace master also wanted to exchange pointers with the world lord of the Hongmeng world. As one's cultivation grew stronger, one would realize that this world was boundless. Those with weak cultivation would think that the world was only as big as what they saw. However, when one truly stood at the peak, one would realize that this world was much bigger than what one could imagine. Xiao Chen naturally did not know who the Cloud Palace's palace master that Tyrant mentioned was. He also did not know what Cloud Palace represented in the macro world. However, Xiao Chen could still make out something from Tyrant's words. The Hongmeng world and the macro world were probably existences similar to the Great Thousand World. They also contained countless small thousand worlds. Moreover, world lords had already been born in the Hongmeng world and the macro world, unlike the Great Thousand World, which had yet to have a world lord. As such, the martial Tao of these two macro worlds was naturally much stronger than that of the Great Thousand World. At the very least, they had masters who surpassed the Emperor realm. The cultivation realm above the Emperor realm had always been a mystery in the Great Thousand World. Even Jun Wuya and Xie Tian were only half a step away from surpassing the Emperor realm. They did not know anything about the realms after the Emperor realm. Xiao Chan was very curious about this. He could not help but ask, Grandmaster, may I ask what your realm is? Oh, it's just the Ancestor Realm Great Perfection, Tyrant said with a smile. The Ancestor Realm was the realm after the Emperor realm. Tyrant and Taoist priest were now at the Ancestor Realm Great Perfection. Such a cultivation could be said to be invincible in the Great Thousand World. However, in the macro world and the Hongmeng world, they were not the strongest masters because there were still world lords above them. Xiao Chan benefited a lot from the conversation with Tyrant. At the same time, his horizons were broadened a lot. Xiao Chun realized that there were so many masters outside the Great Thousand World. Sighing softly, Xiao Chun secretly sighed in his heart. The martial Tao has no limit. It's true that the Great Thousand World is just a drop in the ocean in the vast universe. Xiao Chun understood the universe from Tyrant's words. Xiao Chun was shocked by this. Looking at Xiao Chun's appearance, Tyrant said with a smile, Brother Xiao Chun, there's only one way for you to return to your Great Thousand World, and that is to get the recognition of the World Lord of the Hongmeng world. If you don't mind, we could travel together and meet our palace master first. How about it? Tyrant had a good impression of Xiao Chun, so he took the initiative to ask to travel together. In Tyrant's opinion, Xiao Chun could not return to the Great Thousand World without the help of his palace master. This was because only his palace master could talk to the world lord of the Hongmeng world. With Xiao Chun's strength, he was not even comparable to Tyrant and Taoist. Not to mention getting the approval of the world lord of the Hongmeng world. It was uncertain whether he could even meet him. Hearing Tyrant's words, Xiao Chun naturally knew that Tyrant wanted to help him. Moreover, Xiao Chun was indeed in a hurry to return to the Great Thousand World, so he gladly nodded and agreed. Seeing that Xiao Chun had agreed, a simple and honest smile appeared on Tyrant's face. He gulped down the wine in his cup, stood up and said, "Let's go then. We've been out for quite some time. It's time to go back." Tyrant and Taoist originally came to the Hongmeng world with a group of masters from the Cloud Palace. However, the two of them were bored and came out alone. After such a long time, it was time to go back. However, before they left, they had to deal with Chun Yinner's matter. Tyrant looked at Taoist, and Taoist understood. He then asked Chun Yinner, "Little beauty, what do you plan to do next?" Hearing Taoist address her as Taoist, Chun Yinner was a little helpless, but then she said in a lonely voice, "I don't know." Chun Yinner's parents had been killed. Now that she was a woman with no one to rely on, she did not know what to do in the future. Tyrant smiled and said, "Then, do you want to be a warrior in the future, or just an ordinary person?" With Tyrant's ability, he could easily make arrangements for Chun Yinner. If Chun Yinner wanted to be an ordinary person, Tyrant could give her a large sum of money and let her live a life of luxury. If Chun Yinner wanted to be a warrior, Tyrant could also make arrangements for her. However, how far she could go in the end would depend on her own ability. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. In a chapter. Chapter 24-27. The death of her parents was a huge blow to Chun Yinner. Therefore, after hearing what the monk said, Chun Yinner gritted her teeth and asked fearfully, "Can I?" The death of her parents was a huge blow to Chun Yinner. Therefore, after hearing what the monk said, Chun Yinner gritted her teeth and asked fearfully, "Can I?" Although there was no direct answer, everyone already knew what Chun Yinner meant. She wanted to cultivate and become a warrior. To Chun Yinner, who grew up in a village, a warrior was a lofty existence. She had never thought that she could become a warrior one day. However, after experiencing this incident, she wanted to become stronger so that she could at least protect herself. However, Chun Yinner was an ordinary girl after all. She naturally didn't have much confidence in becoming a warrior. Tyrant laughed heartily and said, "Haha, don't worry. Anything is possible as long as you want it." Since it was Taoist priest who rescued Chun Yinner, he naturally wouldn't abandon her. After Chun Yinner agreed, Tyrant and Taoist priest decided to bring her back to Cloud Palace. Anyway, given the strength of Cloud Palace, it wouldn't be a problem for them to nurture her. After settling the matter, everyone was ready to leave after eating and drinking. At the same time, it was already dusk outside Myriad Mountain City. However, there was indeed a luxurious carriage descending from the sky. 4 white horses pulled the carriage and galloped through the air before landing steadily outside Myriad Mountain City. As the carriage landed, a majestic middle-aged man strode down from the carriage. Upon seeing the middle-aged man, a guard of Myriad Mountain City who had been waiting for a long time greeted him respectfully. "Greetings, Your Highness." The man was the Western Garrison Lord of Lin Country. He was definitely a figure with real power in Lin Country. His cultivation base had also reached the immortal Emperor realm. He nodded calmly and asked faintly, "Where is he?" "Your Highness, he's still in the city," the guard replied respectfully. The Western Garrison Lord had personally come to Myriad Mountain City because of Yin He. Yin He wasn't just the city lord of Myriad Mountain City, he was also the nephew of the Western Garrison Lord. It was also because of this that Yin He, who was only the governor of Wanshan City, dared to be so unscrupulous. Knowing that Yin He had been killed, the Western Garrison Liege Lord immediately rushed over. Following the arrival of the Western Garrison Liege Lord, the guards of the Wanshan City also secretly heaved a sigh of relief. With the Liege Lord personally overseeing the city, They wanted to see what the foreign brats could do. With that, the Western garrison liege lord took the lead and walked into the city, followed closely by a troop of over 1,000 city guards. In the city, the citizens of Wanshan City naturally avoided the Western garrison liege lord when they saw him striding over. Outside the restaurant, Xiao Chun and the others, who had just finished their meal, walked out of the restaurant and saw the Western garrison liege lord leading his men. Both sides met directly. Looking at the aggressive Lord Jinshi, the monk smiled and said to the Taoist, "You really poked a hornet's nest." Needless to say, this person was definitely here to avenge Yanhe. He had just killed Yanhe and this person had come. Who would believe that it wasn't because of Yanhe? Upon hearing the monk's words, the Taoist smiled indifferently and said, "It's just some small trouble. How can it be considered a hornet's nest?" While they were talking, they didn't seem to have any intention of leaving. Even when the Western garrison liege lord arrived in front of them, the monk and the Taoist were still calm. The Western garrison liege lord furrowed his brows when he saw the unchanging expressions of the crowd. Then, he asked with an icy expression, "Are you the ones who killed Yanhe? So what if we are?" These words came from Xiao Chun. To be honest, Xiao Chun didn't put a puny immortal emperor realm cultivator in his eyes. Xiao Chun wasn't afraid at all when he saw through the Western garrison liege lord's cultivation base. However, the Western garrison liege lord was infuriated. The guard beside him also shouted angrily, "How dare you disrespect the liege lord? I think you are courting death." Liege lord? This identity was indeed very honorable in the spiritual fruit world. However, it was nothing in the eyes of Xiao Chun and the others. Given the cultivation base of Xiao Chun and the others, they were no longer interested in the power and influence of the secular world. Although the Lin country seemed to be unparalleled, Xiao Chun and the others could destroy it with a flip of their hand. Therefore, they naturally didn't value the liege lord. Not to mention a liege lord, even the emperor of the Lin country was nothing in the eyes of Xiao Chun and the others. After knowing the identity of the Western garrison liege lord, they thought that Xiao Chun and the others would be fearful. Unfortunately, Xiao Chun and the others were still unmoved. Xiao Chun said indifferently, "You are here for the matter of Yanhe, right? That man deserves to be killed. That's all. You can leave now." Xiao Chun wasn't interested in these ants. However, there were always some people who were seeking death in this world. Originally, Xiao Chun didn't want to lower himself to the same level as these people. However, after hearing Xiao Chun's words, the Western garrison liege lord shouted coldly, "Deserve to be killed? So if I kill you now, it's also my right to kill you?" The attitude of Xiao Chun and the others made the Western garrison liege lord even angrier. With his status, people would be respectful and reverent wherever he went. However, Xiao Chun and the others only looked at him with indifference. It was like a giant looking at an ant. Chapter 24-28. Wang Xuesong's End Realm Cultivation erupted. Facing the aura emitted from Wang Xuesong's body, the expression of Lord Jinshi and the others changed drastically. Previously, they didn't see through the cultivation realm of Xiao Chen's group. However, as Wang Xuesong's aura erupted, they understood that Xiao Chen's group was an existence they couldn't afford to offend. Wang Xuesong's End Realm Cultivation erupted. Facing the aura emitted from Wang Xuesong's body, the expression of Lord Jinshi and the others changed drastically. Previously, they didn't see through the cultivation realm of Xiao Chen's group. However, as Wang Xuesong's aura erupted, they understood that Xiao Chen's group was an existence they couldn't afford to offend. With a pale face, the Western garrison liege lord wanted to beg for mercy, but Wang Xuesong obviously didn't give him the chance. A terrifying pressure instantly descended from Wang Xuesong's body. In an instant, the Western garrison liege lord and the others were directly pressed to the ground. There seemed to be wounds on his body that were suppressing him. Blood spurted out from the corners of his eyes and nostrils. Bearing the enormous pressure, Lord Jinshi gritted his teeth and said, "Senior, spare my life." Lord Jinshi begged for mercy. However, before he could finish his words, he was crushed into a meat patty by Wang Xuesong's terrifying aura. Wang Xuesong didn't hold back at all. Xiao Qin's meaning was clear. Xiao Chun had completely lost his patience with these two groups of ants that provoked him. In an instant, Lord Jinshi and the others were all killed. Lord Jinshi's death in Wanshan City was definitely a shocking matter for the Lin country. After all, Lord Jinshi wasn't only one of the few immortal emperor experts in the Lin country. He was also the younger brother of the current Lin country's emperor. However, Xiao Qin didn't care about this at all. Moreover, was it enough to just kill Lord Jinshi? Don't forget that Xiao Qin had already said that there was no need for the Lin country to exist. "Master, Taoist, can you accompany me to the imperial capital?" After Wang Xuesong killed Western Garrison Liege and the others, Xiao Qin asked the monk and Taoist with a smile. The monk and the Taoist priest naturally understood why Xiao Qin wanted to go to the imperial capital. They didn't refuse and nodded lightly. "It's fine. This Lin Gua is indeed annoying." The monk and the Taoist priest were not ordinary monks. Although one of them was a monk and the other was a Taoist priest, the blood on their hands was probably no less than that of Xiao Qin. He planned to take a detour to the imperial capital and destroy the Lin kingdom. Hearing the conversation between Xiao Qin and the monk, Chun Yinner had a complicated look in her eyes. However, that was all the information that the Lin kingdom's royal family had. As for the identity and cultivation of Xiao Qin and the others, the Lin kingdom's royal family knew nothing about them. Hearing the general's words, the emperor of the Lin kingdom's eyes flashed with coldness. Then, he said coldly, Find them at all costs. I want to see them alive and dead." The emperor of the Lin kingdom directly ordered the capture of Xiao Qin and the others. Hearing this, the general also responded respectfully, "Yes." As the general left the main hall, the coldness in the emperor of the Lin kingdom's eyes did not disappear. However, he was no longer angry. According to the information that he had, the other party killed Western Garrison Liege in an instant. It seemed that their strength was not weak. After all, Western Garrison Liege was an immortal emperor. To be able to kill him in an instant, one had to be at least a great perfection immortal emperor. Although he had already realized that Xiao Qin and the others were not weak, the emperor of the Lin kingdom still insisted on avenging Western Garrison Liege. It was not for any other reason, but because the Lin kingdom had its own confidence. Although an immortal emperor was considered an expert in the Lin kingdom, it was definitely not the top. On the surface, the strongest expert in the Lin kingdom was already an immortal emperor. But in the dark, didn't the Lin kingdom have its own strength? This was obviously impossible. Therefore, a group of suspected immortal emperor experts was not enough to make the Lin kingdom fearful. Do you think you can behave atrociously in my Lin kingdom just because you are an immortal emperor? Humph. The emperor of the Lin kingdom snorted coldly and murmured in a deep voice. He only guessed that Xiao Qin and the others were in the immortal emperor realm. However, the emperor of the Lin kingdom obviously did not realize that the Lin kingdom was facing an imminent disaster. It was not whether the emperor wanted to arrest Xiao Qin and the others. Instead, it was because Xiao Qin and the others were on their way to the imperial capital. As for the purpose of going to the imperial capital, it was needless to say, a disaster was about to befall. It was ridiculous that the emperor of the Lin kingdom was still unaware of it. Seeking collection, monthly vote, recommendation. However, if the provocation came again and again, it would definitely lead to self-destruction, just like the current emperor of the country of Lin. Kill this army of 100,000. Hearing Xiao Qin's question, Li Ku did not say much. He nodded respectfully and then strode out of the cabin. Xiao Qin didn't know that the 100,000 soldiers in front of him were the most elite army of the country of Lin. They were all made up of warriors. Moreover, The commander of this army was an expert of the perfection immortal emperor realm. This army could be said to be the foundation of the country of Lin. One could imagine how angry the emperor of the country of Lin was to have sent out such an army. Seeing the spatial spirit boat getting closer and closer, a middle-aged, burly man stood at the front of the army with a dignified expression. His eyes were filled with coldness. This man was the commander of this army, an expert of the immortal emperor realm. When he heard that the emperor had mobilized 100,000 soldiers to kill a few foreign warriors, the commander snorted disdainfully. He only thought that it was a waste of talent to kill a chicken with a sledgehammer. Until now, the commander still had the same thought. It's just a few foreign warriors. His Majesty actually mobilized the Tianlin army. He thinks too highly of them. Seeing the spatial spirit boat getting closer and closer, the commander snorted coldly. However, just as he finished speaking, 4 figures jumped out from the spatial spirit boat and instantly appeared in the sky above the Tianlin army. The people who came were none other than Li Ku and the other 3. Xiao Chun had already ordered the slaughter of the Tianlin army. Naturally, Li Ku and the other 3 didn't hesitate at all. They didn't speak any nonsense and directly attacked. The 4 Dan and realm experts released their auras at the same time. In an instant, a terrifying aura suddenly descended from the sky. Feeling this terrifying aura, the face of the Tianlin army commander, who was previously arrogant, suddenly changed. They weren't at the Celestial Emperor realm. This group of foreign warriors weren't at the Celestial Emperor realm at all. However, before the commander could speak, the aura instantly increased. In an instant, the 100,000 Tianlin army soldiers were directly crushed. Countless people were directly crushed and turned into a bloody mist. Just the aura alone made the Tianlin army unable to fight back. To an end realm expert, 100,000 soldiers were like floating clouds. If they couldn't even withstand the aura, how could they pose a threat to an end realm expert? This was also the reason why in the battle between good and evil in the Great Thousand World, regardless of whether it was the side of the Great Thousand World or the evil path, the participants of the battle were at least at the immortal emperor realm. This was because the cultivators below that level weren't even qualified to enter the battlefield. The 100,000 Tianlin army, the strongest army of the Lin country, was completely wiped out in just a dozen breaths of time. Only a few generals were still bitterly holding on. However, such persistence was of no use to Li Ku and the other 3. In front of 4 end realm experts, the 100,000 Tianlin army soldiers couldn't even withstand a single blow. Before dying, the Tianlin army commander's expression suddenly changed as he muttered, "It's over, Your Majesty. The Lin country is finished." There was definitely a huge mistake in the judgment of the Lin country emperor. This group of foreign warriors weren't at the Celestial Emperor realm at all. They were existences that far surpassed the Celestial Emperor realm. Even if the Lin country still had some trump cards, they were far from enough in front of these people. 100,000 Tianlin army soldiers were almost wiped out in the blink of an eye. This was definitely a disaster for the Lin country. It didn't take much time for Li Ku and the other 3 to completely wipe out the Tianlin army, including the generals and the commander of the Tianlin army. All of them were dead. Xiao Chun and the others continued to advance towards the imperial capital. At the same time, the news of the Tianlin army being wiped out immediately reached the emperor of the Lin country. In the imperial palace, the emperor of the Lin country was sitting in the main hall. When he heard that the Tianlin army had been wiped out and no one was left alive, his face was blank. He seemed to have lost his soul as he kept muttering to himself. How could this be? How could this be? 100,000 Tianlin army soldiers were wiped out in an instant. How could the emperor of the Lin country not know what this meant? He was wrong. Moreover, he had brought disaster to the Lin country, begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 2430. 100,000 Sky Forest Army soldiers were slaughtered, which made the Emperor of Lin country feel a chill down his spine. Moreover, The most important thing was that all 100,000 Sky Forest Army soldiers were slaughtered in an instant. What did this mean? It meant that the Sky Forest Army of Lin Country didn't even have the strength to fight back in front of this group of mysterious foreign warriors. 100,000 Sky Forest Army soldiers were slaughtered, which made the Emperor of Lin Country feel a chill down his spine. Moreover, the most important thing was that all 100,000 Sky Forest Army soldiers were slaughtered in an instant. What did this mean? It meant that the Sky Forest Army of Lin Country didn't even have the strength to fight back in front of this group of mysterious foreign warriors. However, the Emperor of the Lin Country did not know that only Li Ku, Wang Songxue, and the other three had taken action. Xiao Chun and the rest had not taken action yet. If he knew about this, the Emperor of the Lin Country's expression would be even more interesting. Even if he did not know about this, the Emperor of the Lin Country was already terrified. The strength of this group of foreign cultivators was far beyond his imagination. Immediately, the Emperor of the Lin Country did not care about anything else and rushed straight into the depths of the palace. The Lin Country had been established for many years, so naturally it had its own foundation. In the depths of the palace, the Emperor of the Lin Country hurriedly pushed open the door and entered. This palace was the residence of the old ancestor of the Lin Country's imperial family. Every emperor of the Lin Country would abdicate once his cultivation broke through to the immortal emperor realm. Then, he would seclude himself in this palace to cultivate. This was the foundation of the Lin Country's imperial family. Under normal circumstances, unless it was a major event that could shake the foundation of the country, the current emperor would not disturb his own old ancestor. However, at this moment, the emperor of the Lin Country could not care less about this. He hurriedly pushed open the door and entered. Then, he knelt on the ground and said, "Old ancestor, please save my life." Along with the emperor's words, a hoarse voice rang out in the main hall. "What's the matter?" All along, only the emperor could enter this palace. Others could not even get close to it, let alone enter it. As soon as he finished speaking, 7 young and old men dressed in coarse linen clothes appeared one after another. Among these people, there were both young and old. Without exception, all of their cultivations had surpassed the celestial emperor realm. Among the 7 people, one of them was the current emperor's father. Looking at his son kneeling on the ground, an elegant middle-aged man said, "Ming-er, what is it?" Chapter 24:31. The imperial family of the Lin Country was still arrogant. Little did they know that their insignificant strength was never in Xiao Chen's eyes. Destroying the imperial family of the Lin Country was just a piece of cake for Xiao Chun and his group. After receiving the reply from his old ancestor, the emperor of the Lin Country left in a good mood. In his opinion, with his old ancestor taking action, there was no need to worry about this matter anymore. No matter how strong that group of foreign warriors was, could they be stronger than his old ancestor? The emperor of the Lin Country thought that he only needed to wait for his old ancestor to come out and solve this problem. Little did he know that the imperial family of the Lin Country was already facing a great disaster. In less than a day, Xiao Chun and his group arrived at the imperial capital of the Lin Country. For the warriors of the Lin Country, the imperial capital was definitely the most prosperous and majestic city. However, for Xiao Chun and his group, the imperial capital of the Lin Country was nothing special at all. Xiao Chun and his group had seen many cities that were more prosperous and majestic than the imperial capital. Therefore, for the imperial capital of the Lin Country, Xiao Chun and his group didn't feel anything at all. The spatial spirit ship stopped steadily in the sky above the imperial capital. Suddenly, they saw a starship-like spatial spirit ship appear in the sky above the imperial capital. Many warriors of the imperial capital were stunned. One had to know that flying was prohibited in the imperial capital because it was disrespectful to the imperial family. Even if an immortal emperor realm expert came to the imperial capital, they had to enter through the city, gate step by step. Many warriors in the imperial capital had the same thought. However, Xiao Chun and his group didn't care at all. Standing on the deck and looking at the imperial capital in front of them, Xiao Chun said indifferently, "Hurry up." Xiao Chun didn't have any intention to destroy the imperial family of the Lin country. Similarly, the monk and Taoist were the same. Hearing Xiao Chun's words, Li Ku, Wang Xuesong, and the other End Realm experts nodded respectfully. Then, Wang Xuesong and the other 5 stepped out of the spatial spirit ship and stood proudly in the air. Then, a voice mixed with spiritual energy came out of Wang Xuesong's mouth and instantly spread through the streets and alleys of the imperial capital. Today, the imperial family of the Lin country will be destroyed. Annihilate the royal family of Lin country? Hearing this, many warriors in the imperial capital were stunned. These people were too arrogant. Not only did they swagger into the imperial capital, they even wanted to destroy the imperial family of the Lin kingdom. However, as Wang Xuesong's words rang out, several powerful auras erupted from within the imperial city. Although these auras were powerful in the eyes of the imperial city's cultivators, in the eyes of Wang Xuesong and the rest, they were unable to withstand a single blow. Almost all of them were at the Immortal King realm. Such a cultivation base was simply too weak to be any weaker. Then, the ministers and experts of Lin country appeared in front of Wang Xuesong and the others. Their leader was an old man at the Immortal Emperor realm. He looked coldly at Wang Xuesong and the others and shouted in a deep voice, "Who are you? How dare you speak such arrogant words?" The old man was the current prime minister of Lin country. As the prime minister of Lin country, he naturally couldn't remain indifferent when he heard that someone dared to say that they wanted to destroy the imperial family of Lin country. Cold light flashed in his eyes, and killing intent gathered. However, Wang Xuesong didn't pay any attention to the old man's angry shout. He pointed out a finger and killed the old man on the spot. As an immortal Emperor realm expert, the prime minister of Lin country was killed by Wang Xuesong with a single finger. He didn't even have the chance to react. Seeing such an outcome, all the experts of Lin country were stunned. How could this be possible? The prime minister was at the immortal Emperor realm. How could he be killed so easily? It didn't make sense at all. They didn't expect things to turn out like this. Wang Xuesong ignored the shock of the crowd and spoke again. "Why? Are the people of the imperial family all cowards?" As he spoke, Wang Xuesong pointed his finger again, but this time he pointed in the direction of the imperial palace. As he pointed, the sky collapsed and the earth caved in. More than half of the imperial palace was destroyed in an instant, and the other places were also ruined by the aftermath. Wang Xuesong didn't mean anything to these ministers of Lin country. He didn't want to kill them. The reason he killed the prime minister was just to tell them to keep their eyes open. Sure enough, in the face of the current situation, these ministers fell into silence. They no longer had the coldness from before. On the contrary, each and every one of them was terrified. They even subconsciously widened the gap between them and Wang Xuesong. Xiao Chun and the others had arrived at the imperial capital. Wang Xuesong had killed the prime minister and destroyed more than half of the imperial palace with a single finger. While everyone was still in shock, the 7 old ancestors of Lin country finally showed themselves. Looking at the 7 old ancestors of the imperial family in the sky, the experts of Lin country were stunned. Then, they murmured in disbelief, "How is this possible, Your Majesty? Aren't they the previous emperors of Lin country? Weren't they all rumored to have passed away? How is it that they're all alive and well?" These ministers were all important ministers of Lin country.